support the left or you support the right. Anytime there's a possibility that our actual Constitution is being threatened, our civil liberties are being threatened, our way of life as an American is being threatened, that should make your antenna stand up. Guys, I'm going to go ahead and start bringing people in again. If you are interested in joining the conversation, go ahead and hop in the box. And as we get people up on the panel, please mute yourself. Please mute yourself. And again, all are welcome. This is Late Nights with Santana. Late Nights with Santana. These are conversations. And everyone is absolutely welcome. So even if you're someone that supports Donald Trump, you're welcome. Even if you're someone that supported Kamala Harris, you're welcome. You can be someone that voted for, AOC. I'm sorry, not AOC. I would vote for AOC. You could be someone that voted for Jill Stein. You can be someone that voted for Cornel West. Doesn't matter. If you are interested in joining the conversation, to get in the box. Jillian, how are you?
There we go. I'm good. I'm back.
Welcome back.
How are you doing?
I'm good. I ended up taking last night off, right? And that's why we are here for another night of late nights instead of doing sparring. And normally I would have just said, oh, well, I missed it and, we'll go for it. But I think this conversation that we've been having is just too important just to leave it, especially after what happened the last time. And so we have to actually finish off this conversation.
Yeah, we got a little sidetracked last time.
We got a lot of sidetracked last time. We did. Kyler, how are you?
What's up, Santana? I love you.
I love you more, friend. All right, Kyler, I have a question for you.
Okay, what's up, man?
Kyler, how do we start to move forward as a country and actually heal versus being so divisive?
I don't know. Oh, man. Man, this is difficult, man. Wait, let me think about it real quick, okay?
Okay.
Oh, dude.
All right, this is what I'm going to do, because now I think Kyler's a kid. I think you might be a child, Kyler. I think you might be a yeetus, so I'm going to go ahead and drop you down. I'm going to drop you down. I don't know. Is it Easy J? Is it pronounced Easy J?
No, SJ.
SJ, I'm sorry. SJ.
For my initials.
Yeah, SJ, got it. SJ, got the same question for you that I had for Kyler.
Can you repeat the question?
Absolutely. How do we start to heal the country, get back on track, and move forward, understanding that we're all in the same boat?
Ooh, that's a big question. Man, a lot comes to mind for me, but I think the starting point is agreeing on a shared reality.
Ooh.
I'm not convinced that. I mean, I've watched you live a few times. In fact, I think you were up on a panel with Stacey, Janae, a few others. Was it this week? Anyhow, it's like you can bring something up, and then whichever side you're on will attach a story to it that shades the reality of what happened in a way that either minimizes the harm that was done or paints things a little too favorably, or sometimes just completely ignores what happened. We see that with J6, C19, all sorts of stuff. I don't know how to effectuate a coming together necessarily, but that is the problem I see, is that we can't talk about reality anymore.
Yeah, no, listen, I think that's important. I think it's super important that we actually get to an understanding where, facts are facts, right? I mean, we don't necessarily have to agree with the premise that the stories that the facts are telling, but we do have to understand that facts are facts and we shouldn't hide from them. So, perfect, perfect. Give me 1 second. Andrew, Andrew, how are you, friend?
I'm good. How are you?
uh, oh, excuse me. I'm all right. 1 second.
Yeah, I think all right is maybe better than good.
Oh,
It's more
oh,
more accurate than good.
yeah. No, listen, listen. I am happy. I'm happy. Everything is going well. Andrew, question for you. What's next? How do we do it? How do we actually start to remove the divisiveness within the country and seek understanding to actually bring each other together?
Yeah, I mean, look, like this country has we look at the past through rose-colored lenses. This country has always been divided. I don't think that this time is exceptional in that, other than the fact that we are maybe more connected than ever and we can talk across, states and time zones and immediately converse with one another. That's something unique to now. But for example, um, I think it was Thomas Jefferson paid someone to make pamphlets and pass out pamphlets against his
Hmm.
political rival and friend. By the way, he was friends with John Adams, and the
Hmm.
pamphlets said that John Adams like had gonorrhea. So it's not like
Oh, wow.
we're not in some like idyllic age of looking back. There was never some idyllic age where misinformation wasn't part of our landscape and where dirty politics. It used to be even dirtier. There's that story of the guy who was beaten on the Senate floor with a cane. Have you heard that story? Like in the 19th century?
Yeah, 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 I did.
Yeah, so we're not. I mean, I think it's very easy to say like, "Wow, we're so divided now, never before." But we've had a civil war. We go through these periods, and I maybe that's comforting. I find it a little bit comforting because in all these periods of divisiveness, there seems to be like a release. Think about like pre Watergate and even during Watergate, Republicans were defending Nixon, even through Watergate until it just became too much and they all had to say, you know what, this is wrong. And I think that's what we're going to have to get through this time. And honestly, in my view, I mean, I'm a progressive, so obviously I'm going to have this view, but I feel like we're going to have a similar watershed moment where we get through something the next couple of years, and people on the right are going to have to start saying, "Hey, wow, whoa, this is awful," and I think we're getting there. And
Yeah.
and that brings us together in a different way. But I don't think it's like, from my view, I don't think it's like a both sides equally are at fault for the division in this country. You know,
Okay, okay. Well, we'll get into that in just a second. Perfect, perfect. Give me 1 moment. Reppin', welcome back, friend. How are you this evening?
Yeah, what's up, Santana?
Hey, doing good, doing good. Reppin', got a tough question for you. You ready?
Yes, sir.
How do we fix the divide in the country? What do we do to start to heal and stop being so divisive and actually try to work with our fellow Americans?
That's a powerful question.
It is. It is. It's a question that has to be answered because listen, I mean, it's easy to pick your team, stand on your side, blame one side or the other. You did this, you did that. But like, there's a lot of things that are happening, a lot of things that will continue to happen, and a lot of those things are going to happen to a lot of people, no matter if you wear red, no matter if you wear blue, no matter if you wear green. And so I think it's a question that needs, at least for us to try to answer it.
I think that uh, with so many differences of opinions and like conservative, progressive, I think that's kind of what makes us so great, even though it kind of divides us at the same time,
Hmm.
is being able to like hear somebody else's opinion, hear it out, not necessarily agree with it, but just kind of accept it for what it is. Um, do I think it's a solution to um, the divisiveness in the country? I don't know. But again, like I said, it's a powerful question. I went no.
Okay, okay. Give me a second here. Maddie, hey Maddie,
Hello, King.
how are you?
I'm good.
Wonderful, wonderful, Maddie. I got a question for you.
Yeah.
How do we fix it? How, how do we
Oh,
fix the
give me
country? What
give me
what?
a genre, Santana. Give me a genre.
Exactly. What's the first steps? How do we actually start to move past such a massive divide in America today, where we can get to people looking at each other as Americans and not just Republican, Democrat, or, MAGA, liberal, things like that?
I think it starts off with getting rid of the people that are creating that division.
Mm,
It starts off with recognizing the fact, which I know Repin disagrees with me on. When you have a man who takes every single opportunity to instead of empathize and understand, ridicule, make fun of, demean, insult individuals, and not just him, he's obviously the main culprit, but that goes on both sides. And to remove religion from the mix, because in my opinion, I will fight day in and day out for you to believe whatever you want to believe.
yeah,
But growing up in a family with a Jewish household and seeing everything that's happening right now and the blatant just governmental control and lack of control in general is very scary. So, in my opinion, if we want genuine change, we need to start recognizing that what's going on, no matter what side you're on, is a serious problem
yeah,
and hold our legislative branch accountable because the fact that we have people not showing up to stand up for their constituents, the fact that we have people not doing the bare minimum, in my opinion, every person should be looking at Cory Booker and saying, "I need to do what Cory Booker did for my constituents,"
yeah,
and not being scared to be honest and outward about this is a problem. I think everyone here, no matter what we whether disagree on, we all have something that is affecting us in a way that is detrimental to us. We
exactly.
have a family member that is not able to afford their health care or their insulin. We have a family member that may be black or Latino or someone of a different color that is being discriminated against, or a child that's being bullied. We have family members that are suffering with mental health illnesses and they're not being able to get the care that they need. We may have a family member that's a veteran that is deaf or can't use their knee properly and are not getting those necessities. This isn't an issue of red or blue anymore. This is an issue of democracy and
Hmm.
basic empathy.
Listen, Maddie, how dare you come up here and bring the boom so early? We just started. This was the opening salvo. We were just going through pleasantries, and you gonna come up here and spit game like that? Yes, yes, all of that. Yes, that's the point that I've been trying to make, and so I'll be transparent with you and with the panel, like for a moment, like so, Reppin, who is a Trump supporter, voted for Trump, and again, looking at his name, but I feel like at the very least we've found enough common stance where he's willing to come back, because he comes back and he participates in the panel, and not only does he participate, but he's willing to actually hear people and actually reach out in certain ways. So I think that's what's needed, especially because again, it's not about who you voted for anymore. I mean, there's a lot of
Mm-hmm.
people that are being affected, and like we got to figure it out.
Mm-hmm. And I think also I've had this conversation with Mr. Jones multiple times. I'm on his panel. Also, this very isolationist, individualistic view on so many topics. Instead of just looking about what's happening in America, looking at how other people are dealing with these problems. Because I
Hmm.
think we're very prideful in essence, all of us are, which nationalism can be dangerous at times, when we have all these problems that could easily be solved by thinking about other things like socialized medicine instead of focusing on insurance companies, all these things that could be done.
Yep.
Um, which, I mean, I'm not going to sit here and say that I don't have any type of disdain or a little bit of anger towards Reppin, but that doesn't mean that I don't want to have these discussions because honestly,
That
fighting and
point.
yelling isn't going to help. If
That's the
anything, it's
point.
gonna push them away more, and it's gonna make us hate each other more. That's why I'm a big advocate of like, I'm still in my 20s, so like with Charlie Kirk doing these tours all around college campuses,
Hmm.
the goal is to breed divisiveness. That's literally the goal. So
Yep.
it's like walk by and don't let it get to you, because that's what it's about.
Yeah, no, listen. Okay. So we're gonna go ahead and get into it, but I'll just say this real quick. That's why I'm going to Texas next week. Literally.
Woo!
That
Hell
that's
yeah.
that's
Amen.
that's what yeah, literally that's why I'm doing it. It's because I feel like I definitely I'm someone that absolutely believes that at the very least this country needs a healthy two-party system. It needs a healthy
Mm-hmm.
Republican Party, a healthy Democratic Party. I feel like it needs way more than that, but at the very least a healthy two-party system. And when you have one voice being amplified way more than the other, then it creates an imbalance where people seem to fall into certain beliefs where they don't critically think or challenge or push back on things, which is never a good thing. I don't care which side of the aisle you're on. If you never question things and you just accept it, then that's a problem. And so that's my point as far as going to Texas and hopefully speaking with some of these young people is to challenge their way of thinking and push them to actually look beyond what they know and to try to find more. But look, okay, guys, Andrew, give me 1 second because we haven't even like literally we haven't even got to everybody is up here and like bringing some really good stuff, and I think is the question or whatever. But all right, let's do this real quick. Let me say just a couple of quick things, and then we will go ahead and get started, guys. For the people on the panel, please remember that while we're having these conversations, please be mindful of TikTok friendly language. What does that mean? That means to use words like C19, unalive, mustache man, pew pew, schmex, those type of words that not only protect your TikTok, but the actual live. Also, guys, please remember that this is a safe and friendly community. What does that mean? That means that we don't deal with any of the isms, racism, sexism, classism. We also don't deal with any of the phobias, homophobia, transphobias, none of it. We don't play that on the panel, nor do we play it in the chat. And speaking of the chat, please do not use caps. Caps are for mods. Caps will draw my attention away from the panel and to the chat. I want to make sure that we are able to have these conversations, so please don't do that. My mods, they don't play. They will mute and block you. Last but not least, guys, let's go ahead and get the taps moving. We're at 14,000 likes. Let's go ahead and get up to 50,000 likes. And we do have a nightly donation goal of $250. So Cash App, PayPal, Venmo, all the pay links are in the link tree in the bio. Santana Speaks 24. Santana Speaks 24 is the best way to support the live. If you enjoy the information, education, entertainment, please consider donating. Everything is accepted. Anything's appreciated. And last but not least, if you're over on YouTube, what up, YouTube? What up, Twitch? If you're over on YouTube and you want to support, you can support through a YouTube super chat. Where if you donate, I will read your message out on live. And if you're also watching over on YouTube right now, make sure you like the stream. Let's go ahead and get the lights up on YouTube as well. And Twitch, I love you. All right, so let's get into it. And Jillian, I did not come to you, one, because I know I threw the question out to you last time, but also two, I knew I wanted to really start with you. So Jillian, I'm going to have you do some heavy lifting for me to start.
I'll try.
All right. Jillian, it's easy to know what like the biggest topic is in the news now, right? Everybody's talking about it. Everybody's talking about the man that was deported back to Venezuela.
Yeah.
And he hasn't been given an opportunity to actually or it hasn't been given due process, right? I mean, there's a lot of conflation around it on both sides, right? You have people on the right saying, I said Venezuela. I meant El Salvador. You're right. Sorry. I saw El Salvador in my head. Exactly. I saw El Salvador in my head, and for some reason I said Venezuela. But there's a lot of conflation on both sides, right? You have people on the right who are like, oh, he's a gang member and he did this and he did that and he needs to go. You have people on the left saying, well, he's a family man and he was a construction worker and this and that. Jillian, I want to take a step back and look outside of what people might actually say, well, he did this or he didn't do that. and really talk about like what precedents this sets. I would love to know
Exactly.
your thoughts behind like what happens when our government doesn't listen to our courts and takes those actual actions in their own hands. And like, do you think it's justifiable, or what are your thoughts?
Absolutely not. I mean, I've had this conversation with a couple of people, and what's really irritating is I'm not allowed to talk about politics at work anymore because somebody complained.
Mm.
I mean, I guess that's understandable, but it's irritating.
Mm-hmm.
But no, I was talking about it with someone, and they're like, I was saying they're not getting due process. Like, everyone has the freedom of speech and the right to due process. And people have been like, not if you're not American. And I'm like, well, what if you're here legally? Like,
Mm-hmm.
whether it be a green card or a visa or whatever else. They're like, well, but they weren't born here. They're not actually an American, so they don't get those rights. And I'm like, that's not true.
Mm-hmm.
And it also made me think there was a trend of these movies when I was in high school, but of like the teenagers going to like Thailand or Hong Kong or wherever else where they didn't have the same due process rights that we have, and these teenagers would like, get thrown in these jails and I'm like, is that what America is becoming now? Are we now the horror story where if you travel here and break the law, you could be disappeared?
Mm.
Is it getting to that point of danger? Because that's part of like what it is, not just to be an American, but to come to this country, or why people strive to move to this country is because of these not just freedoms, but the justice. Like, we're supposed to stand for justice. And if there's no trial determining who this guy really was, like, I mean, because, yeah, true, there are family men who are also criminals.
Mm-hmm.
So without a due process and investigations and court proceedings, how do we know who this guy was or any of the other people who have been deported with no due process?
Right. You're absolutely right. And I think that's something that we have to take a whole step back and really think through, because again, my whole premise is more so, regardless of what he has or has not done, I think that I speak for the majority of saying that we believe that people should be held accountable for the things that they actually do. But a part of accountability is actually having the opportunity to actually defend yourself. Now that we do understand that there's a lot of situations where people, get off, or people are wrongly in prison, but that opportunity is still one that needs to exist. All right, so give me a second. I want to come to the other end of the spectrum, and Reppin, I want to come to you. And Reppin, I want to know your thoughts as well, not necessarily on whether he is, if he's guilty or he's innocent, or that's not the actual premise that I'm looking for, Reppin. I just want to know your thoughts more so around the way that our court systems are being subverted, and is it a slippery slope, or do you feel like it's justified?
Yeah, for the record, I just want you to know, like, I just left SK and Billy's live. We just got done debating about this,
Hmm.
and
It's a hot topic. I mean, a lot of people have a
it's on
lot
every
stronger
live.
feelings, and yeah, it's a lot of strong feelings and opinions, and that's why, like I said, I would be remiss to not address the elephant in the room, but I'm trying to take it from a different lens than other people.
I mean, I really don't even want to like I hate like because I left that live to come to this live because it's like literally saying libs like helping MAGA, and then it's like why are we divided as the
Hmm.
states of America?
Hmm.
But it's just simple topics like this is why we're so divided. Like you got the left, right, like claiming he's a family man, but they leave out all the facts, right? And the facts
Hmm.
are when Garcia was arrested, he was found with rolls of cash and drugs. We know
Rugs.
all of it, right? Um,
Hmm.
or D rugs, my bad. And then like
Yeah.
he was arrested with two other MS-13 members. He's had his due process with two immigration judges. These are all things that like people need to take into account and then kind of really take a look back. Like not only just the left, but us as well too. Like the people that are conservative and look at it and then like, I mean, it's clear as day. It's and then not only that, it's out of our jurisdiction now. Like he's back home. You know what I mean? He's back in El Salvador. So it's like they joke around all the time. What are we supposed to like send in SEAL Team Six? I know you're not feeling it, but we just got off the live and they're just debunking every single thing that this girl is saying, and we're just pulling up record after arrest record, fact after fact. I mean, this dude was wearing a Bulls jersey, which is literally a Bulls hat. Sorry, Bulls
Come
hat.
on, a Bulls
Hold,
hat.
hold
Come
on,
on.
hold on, hold on one second. Hold on one second,
I
Andrew.
might be too far. I might not be in the how do we unite people
No,
mindset.
it's fine. I mean, it's gonna get a little bit testy, but in which I'm the point. I want to be able to let Reppin finish his thought before we really address it, because I do have a couple of things to say, but I'm trying to let him finish his thought before we go back and forth. And Maddie, I see you as well, but Reppin, I'm sorry. Go ahead and finish your thought for me.
I'll end with this. I'll land with this. So, like last night, I was debating with Adam, and he kept saying, "Oh, the person's probably unalive. He's probably unalive." And I was telling him that it's that kind of stuff right there that you guys are spewing out that we know. And then today, the governor was like, on camera with them, shaking hands at the table. So it's like stuff like that. It's like, come on, like let's just wait and see what happens, and we'll go from there. But I know people aren't trying to do that. So
Yeah. And so what I want to do, because again, I do want to go back to this before I actually pass it over to Maddie, because I know Maddie had something that she wanted to say. But the point that I want to make sure that I get across, Reppin, is I'm not necessarily looking to debate guilt, right? I mean, and that's something that you said it, better than anyone else. Everyone's doing it, and it's, it's a situation where a lot of people they don't have all the information, they don't have all the facts. And the problem that I have even more so is like the premise where you said he had his day in court. Well, yeah, he did in 2019, and in 2019 he was actually granted the a stay to not be deported, right? And so like there's other things, but the big thing that I want to drill down to is the actual process that things are happening, right? Regardless of if you feel like it's right or if you feel like it's wrong, the process of not actually going through the proper ways, and does it open up the door for things like this to happen to everyday Americans, which we know for a fact that it does, because literally it happened today in Florida, where there is an actual Florida citizen who is being held and can't be released, even though he has a birth certificate. And by the time that he got in front of the judge, they were quote unquote no longer he was no longer under judge jurisdiction, because ICE had already requested that he be held. And so that's the thing that I'm worried about, is the slippery slope that continues to grow from these type of things, where everyday Americans are getting caught up on this. But again, I don't want to go too much into it. I do want to pass it over to Maddie, because I saw that you had your hand up, and then I want to go to SJ. And hey, Shay.
Okay. So I had like a couple things that I wanted to know and bring up, which I feel like this hasn't been talked about, maybe at least that I've heard on the panel.
Okay.
Issue that I have with this is that there's a double standard. What I mean by this is I'm pretty sure everyone is aware of who Andrew Tate is. A man that's been been charged with sexual abuse, rape, all of those types of things. And the fact of the matter is a man that was an immigrant was deported for, let's say, crimes that he committed, or whatever you want to argue, even that if that is the case. Yet you have people like Andrew Tate that Donald Trump is flying in from out of Romania for sanctuary, knowing that this man has committed violent and heinous crimes. So it isn't about getting rid of quote unquote criminals. It's about what violent criminals he deems as violent. That's number one. Number two, the rhetoric surrounding like stereotypes about immigrants, particularly the mention that you had of the outfit that he was wearing. I want to talk about just how harmful that is in relation to society in general, right? There have been so many instances currently. There's an 11-year-old girl that recently passed away because she was being bullied at school so much about her parents' immigration status. Number one. Number two, you have now those exact same words being carried into every single marginalized community in society. Matter of fact, this country was built off of immigrants. They were the backbone of every single thing in this country. So whenever we claim that he had due process, he didn't. And that goes for many, many other innocent individuals. The president even admitted that, it wasn't in his hands, but he was wrongfully deported out of this country, period. Now, I'm not going to say that people do not do criminal acts or violent acts, but to use this idea that we're only getting rid of individuals that are violent, the majority of individuals in America, based off of factual statistics and research, immigrants create a tiny, tiny, minute amount of violent crimes compared to white cis men that were born within the United States. That is a fact. And in regards to African American individuals that are born here, that number is disproportionately high because of racial injustice and discrimination. So I just think talking about this is very valid, and I understand it can be repetitive. But you know what? At the end of the day, I don't really care if it's repetitive because so many people are losing their friends, their family, and are scared to death every single day. And the fact of the matter is that we have an 11-year-old girl who passed away because of this type of rhetoric that's being spewed. It is dangerous. So I just wanted to mention that just because I feel like it is important that Donald Trump picks and chooses who he views as criminals whenever he deems it fit. It doesn't matter what evidence there is. If he is going to get some type of benefit from it, he's going to do it. And we know that a red pill movement that's kind of spurred, especially in white religious men recently in regards to Andrew Tate. I just find it interesting how we're arguing that he's removing criminals, yet he's more than willing to fly one halfway across the world from another area, despite all of the things that he has done that are violent towards women. So it's just picking and choosing. That's all I wanted to say.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. And I think that understanding the the actual nuances behind all of it, and then being willing to actually hold everyone to the same level of accountability is important, right? And being able to say, like, there's no way we should say, oh, we want this criminal out of the country, but we want to bring this criminal in the country. It's a huge jump. But I want to go to SJ because SJ, you haven't had an opportunity to actually speak. SJ, what are your thoughts? Because again, I mean, I know everyone has feelings about the actual is he guilty, is he not guilty, blah blah blah. But what are your thoughts around whether or the actual proceedings and how it was handled? Understanding that like this could be anyone. And also, let me just correct something I said earlier, guys. Apparently, the guy that was being held in Florida has been released now, so that is a great thing. Really, really excited and happy to hear that. But he has been released now. So, but anyway, go ahead, SJ.
Yeah, I appreciate you letting me talk. I don't know what the best way to interject at any point on the panel is, since it's a little bit hard to control. So that's why I turned on my camera. But it goes back to what I said, where we have to agree on some shared reality. Okay. Mm-hmm. What's the role of the president or the executive branch? What is the role of the legislative branch? What is the role of the judicial branch? Because it seems that those things are fluid now, and people are running with the interpretation that that appeals to themselves the most, rather than like getting to the ground of what's happening. So, in answer to your question as to what I think about what is happening, the phrase comes to mind: if nothing matters, nothing matters. And what I mean by that is, if the executive branch does not respect the role of the courts to interpret the law and the execution of the law, then there is no limit on what they can do. Granted, the Supreme Court, I think, in part created this situation where they effectively said that as long as the president is carrying out an executive act or doing his job, then he's not within any sort of contempt or breach. Okay, that puts us in a crazy situation as far as I'm concerned. I don't know what the answer is, because I do know what the answer is. It's just not likely to happen. All right.
What do you think the answer is?
And people have to wake up and be honest with themselves. Is this okay? Because what I'm hearing from, panels, or my parents voted for Trump, my brother as well, is what I'm hearing is excuses, not an acknowledgement of reality. Hey, yeah, he did this. Okay, so what now? How do you feel about that? And my approach generally, I'll land my plane here. My approach generally, I teach classes on communication and personal development, critical thinking, but is to seek to understand before being understood, which means enter a conversation with curiosity and an openness to being wrong. Generally, that's how I try to be. Right? I ask questions. And what I find is when I ask questions, people get upset. They get frustrated because they don't want to have to answer the question. The story matters more than the substance of reality, the story that they're clinging to, because for not for all MAGA, but for many of them, their identity is Trump right now. And the validation of themselves is hinged on him being right and him doing a good job. And so when you're in that situation, it's hard to hold anyone to account, because there is no differentiation of character and person, is what I'm saying. And not to make that like too meta existential analysis, but I grew up in a high demand religion. Like I know how this story ends. I know where it goes. So far, it's playing out just like I thought it would. And the only thing that's going to wake these people up is themselves. All right. And that's going to happen either through conversation like you're facilitating, questions, or major pain.
Yep.
That's it.
Listen, I completely agree. And it always, I always come back to one of my favorite quotes. And the quote is, a smart man learns from his mistakes, but a wise man learns from others' mistakes. And I think we shouldn't have to get to an instance where we are learning from only our mistakes and not learning from other people's mistakes. And hopefully people will be able to see it where they know, like, hey, this is a problem. And it doesn't have to come to like someone specifically feeling said pain before that shift can happen. But this is what I want to do. I want to introduce the 3 new people on the panel. So I'll introduce the 3 new people, and give you guys the opening question. And then I want to come to Madam to give Madam the floor after that. Actually, so I'll end with you, Madam, and then give you the floor. Guys, we got 310 people hanging out with us. Let's tap the screen. As a matter of fact, again, you guys have been stingy with the likes. You've been stingy with the likes. So this is what we're doing. Turning on the old clock, and I'm gonna give you guys 10 minutes to get to 75,000 likes. We are going to sub only. 10 minutes to get to 75,000 likes, or we are going to sub only. So tap the screen, share the live, do all the wonderful things to let TikTok know that we're in the building. Let's knock out the daily gift goal. Also, guys, we do have a nightly donation goal of $250. Cash App, PayPal, Venmo, all the pay links are in the link tree in the bio. Santana Speaks 24. Santana Speaks 24 is the best way to support the live. If you enjoy the information, education, entertainment, please consider donating. Everything is accepted. Anything is appreciated. And if you're over on YouTube, you can always support with a YouTube super chat, where I will read out your message. With that being said, let's start with Shay. Hey, Shay. Shay, are you there? The Black Historian?
Yes.
There we go. Hey, Shay.
Hey, how are you?
Good. How are you?
It's been a week.
It has been a week. Listen, I don't know if you're gonna like me after this conversation because I got a tough question for you.
Okay.
Shay, how do we fix it? How do we fix the country? How do we actually start heal the country and lessen the divide that we have where people are no longer so focused on left and right and more focused on being Americans, your fellow man?
Who is we?
Yeah, I told you. That's the question, Shay. That's the question.
We tried. We tried. We already tried the we part. The we was on November 5th. They just gonna have to find out for themselves when they find out, oh, Trump didn't mean us. We broke too. He don't like us either. When it start hitting them the way that we told them that it would, maybe it'll come around, because I see a lot of these people who actually voted for Trump. Now they see that it's hit them, and now they want us to come together. No, y'all got to work that out in the streets. Then we'll think about it afterwards.
So you're saying that they're gonna have to go through it a little while before you're willing to actually meet them?
Yeah, they're gonna have to go out and march.
Okay.
Every day, not on certain days. They're gonna have to go out there and be inconvenienced like we went out there and was inconvenienced. After we got off work, we went out there and marched. Sometimes we even took personal days, went out there and marched. They not doing it. We gonna do this on this day and this day.
Okay. Okay. All right. Give me 1 second. KP, how are you, my brother?
I'm doing great, Santana. How are you doing tonight?
Good. KP. Same question. What's the first step? How do we start to get this thing moving in the right direction?
Well, for lack of, I know we keep it clean on late nights when Santana, so we don't go to HE double hockey sticks in a handbasket. It's gonna take MAGA, and as much as I hate to say it, not only is it gonna take MAGA, but it's going to take the people that the 30% that sit out every election. It's going to take MAGA to actually, and we saw a little bit of this with the town halls that they very shortly hosted across the country. When it comes down to policy and actually governing, we know that Republicans can't do that. They talk a big talk, but when it comes down to them having the keys and no Democrats to blame, it's a mess. So I think when you have something as blatant as the issue with Abrego Garcia, and then we just heard recently about the news of the man that is being kept in Florida, who is a legal U.S. resident. It's going to have to start, and I love what you guys are doing with your tour. I'm not going to say it, obviously, but
the Unfuck America tour. I'm sorry. Yes, the Unfuck America tour. Go ahead.
There you go. I love that. But what you guys are doing with that is so crucial, because it's going to take people next to the liars calling out their lies, because it goes unchecked. And for some reason, we weren't vigilant enough in stomping those lies out in the past 3-4 years. And millions, tens of millions of dollars is poured into the propaganda that someone like Charlie Kirk spews out, and it has clearly had an impact on the younger generation. I mean, you look at a demographic like me, a 24-year-old white man, and I think it was something like 54% or 56% supported Trump.
It was super high. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and after everything that has transpired right in front of everyone's faces, I might be in agreement with the Black historian. I don't know at this point, without them coming to their senses, what we're going to do.
Got it.
Yeah, thank you.
All right. Perfect. Give me 1 second here. Hey, guys, I just want to remind the chat, because it's still kind of moving slow, guys. We got 4 minutes and 40 seconds to get up to 75,000 likes, so that's another 30,000 likes, so we're going to sub only. Guys, tap the screen. Also, guys, massive W's in the chat for Jesse, who is getting us started off right with a $5 donation, saying, what do we do? Exactly this. We remind each person we personally know that the Democrats had your back all along and the Republicans never did. Bring them to the light side. This cannot continue. Yeah, listen, I know W's in the chat for Jesse for that. I know it's so easy to continue to point the finger and point the blame, and there's a lot of people that are still hurt. And I want to be clear when I say this. I am not telling people that you shouldn't be angry still. I'm not telling people that you shouldn't be hurt still. But I am telling people that we're all going to be hurt. We're all hurting. And I don't know, maybe it's just me, but I feel like it's easier to try to find common ground versus to, continue to attack each other. That's just my thoughts. But anyway, guys, massive W's in the chat for Jesse. Guys, that means we only have $245 left in the nightly donation goal. So Cash App, PayPal, Venmo, all the pay links are in the link tree in the bio. Santana Speaks 24. Santana Speaks 24 is the best way to support the live. If you enjoyed the information, education, entertainment, please, please, please consider donating. Everything is accepted. Anything is appreciated. And if you're over on YouTube, you can donate with a YouTube super chat. And yes, Ash, it's still FRFK and FDJT. Sorry. All right.
Can I ask you a question?
Sure. Go right ahead.
So why is it that we always have to come together with them on their terms when they find out that shit is, when stuff is messed up? My bad. I'm trying not to curse. When stuff is messed up, and then them not coming together with us so that before stuff gets messed up, they just want to wait until it gets. We have to come together with them all the time after they done messed some stuff up.
Listen. That is actually an amazing question, and this is what we're gonna do. I'm gonna go to Madam first, but then I wanted to give the floor back to Reppin because he's been patient, and I would love for one to hear Reppin's thought on all of this as a whole, but also I would love for Reppin to share his thoughts on that question as well. So let's go to Madam first, and then Reppin, and I know there's a couple other people that have their hands up. So Madam, how are you?
I'm doing good. Thank you for asking. And can you hear me?
I can. It sounds a little weird.
Hold on. I'll take my Bluetooth off and just use my mic itself. Hold on.
Okay, because you're like kind of. I didn't know if it was me. You were like kind of bouncing around from ear to ear. While you're doing that, guys, W's in the chat for KP. KP, that's what I'm talking about, my brother. W's in the chat for KP, who added $5 to the nightly donation goal, saying one of the best creators and spaces. Listen, you don't have to butter me up, KP. You're already up here on the panel. You good. We're good. W's in the chat for KP. Also, guys, W's in the chat for Gene. Gene sent a $1 donation to say... these are Gene's words, not my words. I want to make sure that I preference that. Gene said, there's no coming together. So I don't agree with that, but there's no coming together. There's no common ground to be found with people who voted for hatred. There's no sympathy for them being effed by their decisions. F MAGA, F Trump supporters. I hope every last one of them, Listen, I'm just going to say this. I truly, truly mean this when I say this. I understand people being upset. I understand people being hurt. I understand people still being mad. I get that. And again, you have every right to feel how you feel. And I will never take that from anybody. The only thing that I'm saying is we all have to understand that, like, it's not just a left and right thing anymore. It's everyone being affected. Yep. But guys, that means that now we're only $239 away from closing out our nightly donation goal. Cash App, PayPal, Venmo, all the pay links in the link tree in the bio. Madam, are you ready?
Yeah. Can you hear me better now?
Yes. Way better. How
I'm
are
using
you?
one of those mini mics. Thank God. First of all, I want to thank you for allowing me to speak on your panel for a second time.
Thank you for coming back.
Thank you. No, I respect you. You're my favorite content creator for real. Like, I always talk about your content. So thank you. I was going to make a point to the Black historian, which you said, first off, why do we have to always come to them whenever they screw up? Like, I just wanted to make a funny little point. Like, if you've ever been married and one person's mad at the other, how they get stubborn. One might be more stubborn than the other, and they know they want to say they're sorry, but they won't do it. So sometimes it just takes that little push to the side to get things worked out. You got to sometimes like my dad always told me, pride's at the bottom of every bad decision. So somebody has to be the moving, like, boulder in that situation, or it's not going to solve it. And to the question you were asking as a whole,
Sorry, that was the dang it.
that was
There
the
we go.
timer.
Sorry.
No,
No,
you're
no,
good.
no. That was studio. I apologize.
But yeah, I was gonna say that, you know, actually, after I came off your first live where I spoke and you had come up with that idea, I've been going into, I don't say MAGA lives. I'm trying to normalize not calling, because every person who voted for Trump is not a MAGA person. Some people are just Republicans. And we had Democrats that voted for Trump too, and they just won't admit it, but they did.
Mm-hmm.
Because, I've been going into lives to kind of hear their side of things too, instead, so that way I can get a better understanding of how they think in their issues.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, they voted for who they voted for. Do I agree with their views? No. But first, the first underlying things I always tell everybody is that you have to understand that one of the reasons we're mad at them is that they exercise their American right to vote for somebody as a candidate. And I mean, that was their right, regardless of how it affects everybody. We have to come to the understanding that in America, it's their right to vote for who they want to. But I've been, all kinds of issues in their lives I've been listening to. One of the situations being I can't think of the guy's name, but it's like that big case going on right now with the jabby jabby. I'll just call it that. I don't want to even use the term. And like I've heard a lot of Republicans speaking on it, and like even like on issues like that, like some of them think like us, not 100%, but they think on both sides. And it's like everybody's been talking about, like, we can't just keep attacking each other left and right, or nothing's ever going to change. Like, it's going to be us stuck in the middle. It's going to take both sides to get the ball rolling. And part of it, I feel like, would be like how we need to all, as a community, stop just having like that, like someone else mentioned, like that extra 30% of people in all these cities and around the world that aren't voting, coming out and speaking at town halls, voicing concerns, holding all of their, their people they voted for accountable, asking questions, getting together in the community, because we have the internet to do that. We can all talk about the issues and get together, set up meetings, talk. That's just the underlying issue. Like starting from city level, moving up would be part of it. And then you have like, if the if the politicians don't listen on the higher level, you have to just reach out to friends you have in other states, and maybe they can like talk to them, since they all do still meet for Congress and stuff to speak on these issues. But I feel like it's not going to work unless both sides come together, because the thing I keep seeing is like, on the left side, you have people that are blaming the right, and on the right, you have people blaming the left.
Exactly.
And that doesn't do anything for anybody. All it does is perpetuate the same cycle, because there's problems on all sides of the politicians and them not being held accountable and doing the things they say because they want to stay in the chairs. They want to keep the lobby seats and appease the people who aren't actually the ones that are concerned with their communities. And I think that's a lot of it, honestly, is we have to start appealing to all sides, not just one side. Like, I get it. So, like, if you strictly conservative, you might just only stick to conservative, but you got to kind of start leaning in and listening to both sides so you can get input and understand how others think, so that it can improve the situation. And I'll leave off on that. I won't motor mouth too much more.
Okay, no worries. Listen, I know there's a lot of people that want to say stuff now. I'll just say this, like, I actually agree, with a lot of points. That's one of the reasons why people always see me hanging out in quote unquote MAGA lives. And even earlier this week, I was hanging out and I was genuinely trying to get an understanding. I think there's something to that. Let me read these two off real quick. I want to go back to Shay, because I know, one, you had your hand up first, but two, Madam directly addressed your point. But what I want to do, I was going to go to Reppin', and Reppin', I'm going to put you on ice for just a little bit longer, because we have Lawful X-Pac up here. I know. I promise you I'm going to come back to you, but I want to get to, I'm going to go to Lawful X-Pac instead, because I know he is someone that voted on the opposite side as well. And so I would love to hear him, his perspective, but I promise you I'm coming back to you. So let me read these two off real quick, and then I'm going to let Shay respond, and then we're going to come to Lawful X-Pac, and then I promise you I'll try to get to everybody else. Guys, massive W's in the chat for Harold, who sent a $20 donation towards the nightly donation goal. Harold, you are too kind. Thank you so much for that $20 donation. Also, guys, massive W's in the chat for Gene again. Massive W's in the chat for Gene. Gene sent another dollar donation. And Gene said, I'll always respect you. I see what you mean. I understand, but I cannot I cannot find it in myself to come together with a group of people that harm countless others. They need to, and I can understand they need to hurt a little bit, and then I can understand the other side. And again, guys, like, I'm not telling people what to do. I'm not even saying that, again, you guys aren't justified. Where'd lawful expat go? Okay. I guess he thought we were going to argue and he left, but all right. But I'm not necessarily saying that I'm not saying that your feelings are wrong or your thoughts are the most insane thing or anything, but I'm just saying, like, I don't know. I genuinely, I don't have the answer. I don't, but I just know, like, something has to happen. Anyway, with that being said, Shay, wait, guys, that means we only have $218 left in our nightly goal. We can knock that out. I know we can. We got 304 people hanging out. If 218 people send $1, we close out our nightly goal. Boom. Cash App, PayPal, Venmo, all pay links and link tree in the bio. Santana Speaks 24. Best way to support the live. Everything is accepted. Anything's appreciated. Over on YouTube, you can send a YouTube super chat. Shay, the floor is yours.
I'm gonna be quick, I promise.
You got it.
I agree with Gene. And second,
of course you do.
Yeah, of course I do. And then secondly,
I love you so much, Shay. I do.
Every time, why would I keep trying to beg and try to when he said when you have two people in a marriage and one person is always wrong, why would I keep wanting to beg?
She said it.
I'm sorry, why would I want to keep trying to beg that person to see my side, or why should I always try to come together with them when they're always wrong? When they're always wrong, I have to come to terms with them. People get tired of that. And one day, it's their pride. It's them that have the pride that they don't want to admit that they're wrong, but I have to always succumb and be nice to them to make the relationship work. Relationships don't work like that. They just don't, when one person is always giving in to the other one. Third thing is, why would I want to come together with someone who voted for my demise when we told them that this man is full of hate, that this man was going to do exactly what he was going to do for Black people, against Black people. I shouldn't say for Black people, against Black people. He's shown it. Oh no, that was a mistake about the Jackie Robinson. Oh no, that was a mistake about Harriet. Why is it always a mistake with Black people? I ain't seen them do anything with white people, but y'all want to sit here and want us to come together with someone who wants to erase us from this country. The judge who said, oh, I don't have to abide by his papers. Okay, well, I don't have to abide by your law degree either, or by you being appointed by a judge, or you being appointed. That's crazy that she didn't want to abide by his birth certificate.
Yeah. I will say, again, I think it goes back to what SJ said earlier. And I think there has to be, like, a standard that we agree to go back to, because I completely agree. Like, how can you sit here and say that, you won't abide by an actual ruling when we understand, how law works and how our government and systems are set up? So I get it. I get it.
That's how but when that judge said that, that's how I see MAGA is with us. And any Republican that voted along with MAGA is MAGA, because they agree with them and they voted along with the Triple K. They voted along with the racist ideology that this man has. They heard it. They just refused it because they believe that it wouldn't happen to them, that it would just happen to Black and brown people only.
Okay. All right, so this is what I'm gonna do. Real quick, guys. Massive W's in the chat for Positively Nat. What up, Nat? How are you? W's in the chat for Positively Nat, who sent a $19.99 super chat over on the old YouTube to say, my family of immigrants also voted for this, so I get it. Here's to the family that's here. Listen, Positively Nat. Nat, you know that you are absolutely our family. We love you so much, and you are absolutely appreciated. Thank you for the donation. Thank you for being here. Thank you for always being positively you. Massive W's in the chat for Nat. Also, guys, massive W's in the chat for Kevin, who sent a $5 donation to say, MAGA, Black MAGA, have to deal with racism and misogyny. Yes, listen, it's super interesting, and I'm not exactly sure how they lean into that, but it's a lot. It's a lot. And also W's in the chat for Gene, who sent another dollar donation, saying, I agree with the Black historian. Of course, you both agree with each other. That does not shock me. W's in the chat for Kevin, Gene, and positively Nat. Guys, that means that now we are only $212 away from closing out our nightly donation goal. Cash App, PayPal, Venmo, all the pay links are in Linktree in the bio. Reppin', I'm gonna come to you because Lawful X-Pac, which I've debated him before and I've talked to him before, and I thought he must have thought that he was gonna come in here and he was gonna argue, and he realized that it's no actual argument here, and so he left, and we're having civil debate. So I'm gonna come back to you, Reppin', and Reppin', I'll give you the floor. You have been patient. What are your thoughts? What would you like to add?
Hey, come back to me. My daughter just woke up. I gotta make her a bottle.
Okay, do your thing. Do your thing. Okay, well, real quick then, I'm gonna go ahead and introduce Harold. Harold, how are you? Harold, are you there? Let me send you.
Yeah, I'm here.
There we go. Harold, how are you?
I'm doing great, brother. How you doing?
Great. Harold, I got a tough question for you, and I hope you're ready for it.
Absolutely.
Harold, how do we start to heal the country?
I'm here.
How do we start to heal the country? How do we take those first steps to lessen the divide that is deeply rooted in our country today?
Well, step one is to recognize that divide is going to always be there. 40% of the people in this country would rather this country fail than give us any kind of equal footing. The very name MAGA itself denotes something that has to be explained. When I ask people, MAGA, make America great again, I say, when is this great American period that you're longing for? And from my vision, as I see history, I can't recall a great American time for me and my ancestors as melanated people in this country. So nobody's ever really given me an answer. When is this MAGA great American period that they are longing for? 1950s, lynching, 1920, the start of KKK, beyond that, slavery. So when is, somebody got to explain that to me, just when was America great?
Harold, that's a question. That's a question I've been doing literally the same thing.
Yeah. So again, last count, there were some 30 Black towns that had been destroyed, burned, looted, otherwise taken off the map because of jealousy and hatred towards us as a people. And I got an opinion. I think desegregation was the worst thing that happened to us as a people. We had our own stores. We had our own schools. We had our own infrastructure. And when we opted to segregate into the larger aspect of the society, we diluted our strength as a Black people.
Listen, Harold, I've heard that before, and you know what? I'm gonna come back to that because I got something to say about that. But I'm gonna come back to that. But hold on for a second here. Let me read these off real quick. Maddie, I wanted to come to you as well. I think Reppin', whenever you get back, can you put I'm back in the chat so I can come back to you. Also, real quick, Madam, is this you that just sent this? Madam? I'm gonna wait because I think Madam, was this you that sent this?
Probably. You talking about Hold on.
Massive, freaking massive W's in the chat for Madam. Madam's.
What is it? So I know.
The
so
donation?
I don't take credit for somebody else.
Did you send a donation?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
I sent
Massive
$1.
W's in the chat for. Say it again. Well, I'm going to give you all your credit. Massive W's in the chat for Madam who sent a $50 donation. A $50 donation saying thank you for healing the country. Madam, you are freaking amazing. Thank you so much for that $50 donation. Also, guys, a million W's in the chat for Jesse. Jesse sent a dollar donation saying, to the Black historian, love you and understand your frustration. The people I focus on are...
That wasn't me that sent a 50. I sent $1. So somebody else sent that one. I just wanted to clarify because I'm not taking credit for something somebody else did.
Are you sure? So I don't want to...
Yeah, because I don't want to take away from somebody else. I sent $1 and I don't want to take somebody else's credit. Like, that's wrong in all aspects.
So I don't want to call the name. If you are in the chat and you sent the $50 donation, can you say it was me? Because I see the flag and I don't want to misgender. And Maddie, that's why I thought it was you, because the pictures kind of look similar, and then I saw the flag. I didn't want to disrespect anybody. But oh, okay, Nick, and see, thank you, Nick. See, I saw that, but I didn't want to mess anything up. I'm so sorry, Nick. I'm so sorry. Massive W's in the chat for Nick. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for that $50 donation, Nick. You are absolutely too kind. Nick said, thank you for healing the country. Thank you so much for your donation. Massive W's in the chat for Jesse again, who sent a dollar donation saying, to the Black historian, love you and understand your frustration. The people I focus on are those who are at the root of who they are is good. I'm assuming you're trying to say at the root of who they are, they're good. They're just ignorant. The hateful ones can eat dirt. You're right about that. Like, I agree with that point for sure. And also, massive W's in the chat for Chris. What up, Chris? Christopher sent a dollar donation saying, I'm glad that I was able to share my news with you, Santana. If you know, you know, love you, dog. Listen, massive, a million W's in the chat for Chris. I'm not going to share your news, but I'm so proud of you. Congratulations again. Guys, that means now we're only $160 from closing out our nightly donation goal. Cash App, PayPal, Venmo, all the pay links are in the link tree in the bio. Santana Speaks 24, best way to support the live. Everything is accepted. Anything is appreciated. What I want to do, Maddie, you've been waiting patient. I know Reppin is back. Maddie, go ahead and say what you have to say, and then Reppin, I'm coming back to you.
Yeah, so I kind of wanted to go off what the Black historian was saying and add a little bit more dimension to that. I think the biggest issue also is how many times in the last couple of town hall meetings have we seen people detained, tased, yelled at, or being taken out of a meeting simply for voicing their opinion? I think that's also one of the most insane parts to me. And I think the other issue also stems from the fact that, like, I'll be frank, it's sad to admit this. I have dated a Trump supporter before. I know. I don't even want to talk about it. And it's almost like a lot of them don't want to talk about it because they know that there's going to be repercussions for that. Luckily, I'm in a great, amazing relationship with someone who is not that way. But the reason that I bring that up... What?
Oh, I dated one too. I just.
Oh yeah,
I'll tell you that story another time.
Yeah, it's like, and the sad part is that like they almost grasp it and yet they're not there, and it's the devil's advocate. And there's so many conversations that you just get frustrated by having to continuously make your point argument and feel like you're talking to a brick wall. And what I mean by that is, like, I grew up in a very diverse family. Both of my dad has a Juris Doctorate, my mom's a scientist. And so, with that being said, going back to what Harold was saying, when people argue, when was America great? Or, you know, you're not patriotic if you don't stand up for that flag. My dad served in the military for 16 years, and one thing he always would tell me is, I didn't fight for that flag, I fought for what it stood for. And if you love your country, you're going to fight for it. And that means you protest the healthcare system, you protest the injustices. And the fact of the matter is, most people in America, especially white people in America, don't have the education to understand how the system is set up to hurt other marginalized communities. Redlining, Jim Crow, all of these things, even the Electoral College, gerrymandering, is set to hurt those individuals. And so I get it, and it makes me so frustrated because I sit and I look at my mom that's a teacher and I say, oh, is my mom going to be out of a job now because of the fact that they don't like the curriculum that she's teaching as a science teacher? Or, oh, if I need to get access to my medication and I can't afford it now because my insurance has gone up massively, or I'm getting my PhD and now I'm worried, can I even get into my grad program because they're dismantling the Department of Education? Like, it's so infuriating to know that the people around you, at first it was like, you voted for Trump in 2016, I get it, whatever. And then you do it a second time, and then you do it a third time. And a lot of times, it's not like individuals that are truly MAGA, like they don't have a flag up in their room. It's people that say, oh, I voted for him because it was the lesser of two evils. It wasn't. And that's what makes me upset, because you had a woman who was not only qualified, she was the most qualified candidate out of any person running for presidential office. And because of the fact that she was a successful black woman, she was villainized. And it makes me so upset also on the liberal side of it. And I'm not saying this is a lot of liberals, but I was having a conversation about being trans, are trans women women? And in that conversation, what really upset me was a lot of the progressive individuals was telling me I was tokenizing by talking about other communities. And this goes for more on allies. We need to stop hating on people for advocating for individuals outside of their community. I am not a gay person. I am a person that does have a lot of other issues that I would rather keep private. But if you are a white woman and you are advocating, there's a difference obviously between advocating and speaking for black women. Those are two different things to distinguish. But you should be happy that there are people coming out and saying, I want to fight for what's right. How, as a white woman, can I help the black community? Not what I believe. What can I do as a white woman to service you in a way that's going to be worthwhile?
So let me jump in there for a second, Maddie. I think that you definitely have a point. Definitely have a point. The one thing that I will say about that, though, because that is a very slippery slope, right? And excuse me, I say that as someone who finds himself in that position as well, right? Mm-hmm. A lot of times in the sense of whenever there's an issue and I have, white friends that, they get the conversation of like, is someone pushing back, hell, I'll call it out specifically, like Dean, right? Or Parker. And someone's pressing them on like the black community or, blah, 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 blah. And, they can handle the conversation and they will handle the conversation, but they also will shoot me a text message and like, hey, there's a guy up here that, would you mind coming up and talking to him for me? And, I might be doing something else. And, I'll be like, yeah, sure. Right. And so I find myself having to do the same thing whenever I have like a woman that may come up and she wants to talk about ABs and all this other stuff. And so I will start immediately looking for people like the Black Historian, people like Jessica Simone, or people like, just women that I know, like, hey, they can carry this conversation. Like I can have that conversation and I don't mind helping support that conversation. But I think there's a need to understand that just because I agree with you, just because you're not a part of that community doesn't mean that you can't advocate for that community. But the biggest thing that you can do for advocating for a community is amplifying their voices and taking a seat back and then being a shield, right? I don't mind being a shield for women and taking those blows, but letting them actually get their voice out. And I think that's the biggest thing that needs to be done when advocating for any other group.
Yeah, and I think on top of that, like the way that I look at it is I don't want to speak for any community that I'm not a part of. That isn't my place. But what for instance, my first year of college, I focused on the racial discrimination in in Black pregnant women? How can we lower the rates of childhood death and pregnancy mishaps among Black women to make it more inclusive for them? And I worked for a year doing research on that. That was my way of advocating. Still staying silent, but working in the background to help others. And I think even that, like, I've literally started crying on lives with Jones about how upset I get knowing that other people are getting hurt, because in my opinion, when I vote, I don't vote for myself. And I was raised that way, and I just like, I look at everyone else in this live and I'm like, I gotta vote for you just as much as I gotta vote for me.
Yeah.
And I can't
And
just be like, oh, I'm gonna vote on what I believe. But I also was luckily raised in a household that was separate from religion, where we had the opinion of diversification. And my dad grew up hella conservative. He's in his 50s, and he got his JD, and he came out the most progressive man in the world. It looks
yeah.
like a Republican, but with that
Well,
being said, my thing is, what do we do? Like MLK said, when you're silent, you're complicit. What do we do whenever the peaceful protests don't work and violence is coming
we
out against us for protesting?
listen. I'll say this, and then I do want to pass it to Reppin. Because one, I completely agree with you, right? Like I definitely think there is a need to. I've said this a million times. I didn't vote for myself in this past election. I voted for my mother. I voted for my sisters. Most of all, I voted for my wife and our potential, if we ever are blessed to have a daughter, my future daughter. Like, that's who I voted for. And I think there's a need to actually look outside of yourself, even when it comes to something as simple as your vote, right? That's a big thing. But with that being said, like, as far as like silent protests, I'll just leave it at this. I've always been more Malcolm X than MLK. And I'll say,
Agreed.
don't try me, try Jesus, because I throw hands. I throw hands. I throw hands, and you can catch this fade. All right, give me a second. Reppin, you have been super patient. Also, W's in the chat for Dan. What up, Dan? Reppin, you've been super patient. Thank you for doing so. Reppin, the floor is yours.
So I would love to see you and Lumberjack. I don't know if you ever heard of him. Debate. I would pay top dollar for that.
I don't know who that is.
Man,
Send him
Oh
to
man,
me
you don't
next
know
time.
who Lumberjack is? He be running this shit.
Language, Reppin. You know my mom is watching this.
Santana will sweep the floor with Lumberjack.
I don't know who that
I would
is,
pay
but next
top dollar
time,
to see it.
next time
It's
he's
good
live.
that you don't.
No, next time he's live, send him to me.
All right, so
Go
I mean,
ahead.
where do we start? So
The floor is yours. Thank you for being
Yeah.
patient. Seriously, Reppin.
I'm gonna turn it up a little bit if that's
Oh
okay.
my God. Just, no crash outs.
I'll keep it civil. Hopefully they don't all break out at once.
There, they're about to come at you, but go ahead.
All right, hold up. Let me get my back against the wall. So, all right. So why are we divided? Why are we the divided states of America, right? And so, what I really think is that a lot of different, like I would say, me, have differences of opinions in the way that we view things. Like I want to put the things that I think that are more important first, right? Like things like talking about Rachel Morin, putting America first, like things like that. But yet we don't hear about those kinds of things because they're so focused on, things like Kilmar and Garcia. So that's where it kind of confuses me because people, the hate that they have for this man, it seems like it's much more greater than the love that they have for this country. Now, we could honestly, Donald Trump's not a perfect man. He's obviously a hothead. And if we could get away with somehow not having a president or something for us to come together, I would be all ears for that. But obviously we got to have a commander in chief. That's the way our country's always been run. The voters spoke. But I would just want people for just for a second and on the left and the right to just not look at it in that way and just kind of think, okay, what's really right? You know what I mean? Like I wasn't even following politics less than a year ago, and it's like I just kind of look and I'm like, okay, is this right or is this wrong or who's lying and who's not? Or like you never like, what do I believe? Half the time I'm like, what do I believe? Like who do I believe? You know what I mean? And that's why it's like I'll come on to a MAGA live, but then I'll hop over to you, Santana, because like, well, first, number one, you run it very respectfully, except when you're not doing the other one.
Yeah, it gets wicked. It gets wicked when I debate.
Yeah, but I like this one, the late, because it actually, you give people their voice, you give people their time, which is like really what I think we need in real life, like in politics. And we don't always get to see that, which sucks. But yeah, I would just think like, I mean, I don't know. I can't even.
You still didn't answer the question.
Yeah, maybe
Go
he
ahead.
forgot. Hold on, throw the question back out there, Shay, because I think he might have forgot. It was a while ago, because she had a specific question for you.
That's lumberjack in whiteface, by the way.
Really?
Yeah, Bree.
That is horrible.
Yeah, that's horrible.
That is haunting.
The question was, why is it that you always want us to come together after you've done some wrong and you want us to fix it? When we've asked you to come together before all of this would happen so we wouldn't have to fix it so that we can move forward.
So I could say the same thing to you, right? Like,
no, you can't. Just answer the question.
Yeah, I could say the same thing to you. Like,
and this is
it
why
seems like a lot of the things that are happening that you guys are unhappy with, right?
You know what?
Like,
this is why we don't like you guys, because you don't answer the question. You always want to pivot, and then you give a stupid explanation. I asked you a specific question. It doesn't
no,
mean
you asked the question in a way like you're perfect. Are
no,
you?
I didn't, sir. And no, I'm not perfect, but I know I'm smarter
Are
than
you?
you.
Can I ask a question that Harold asked?
Hold on. So let's
one at a time.
Let's try to refine it one more time. Repin.
What?
Go ahead, Shay. You got it.
No, I'm like, why should we come together when you see that it's broken, that you broke it, but now you want us to come together to fix it? When we said, hey, it's going to break, and it didn't have to if you would have went this way. Why is it that you want us to come together after you broke the system and you want us to fix it?
Are we a country, or are we united, or are we not?
I'm sorry. So Santana, I'm not. You know what?
I know, Shay. I told you weren't gonna like this.
See, that's your.
Hold on one second, Repin. Hold on one second, Repin.
We broke it.
Repin. Hold on for Repin. Just give me a second. Shay, I told you weren't gonna like this tonight. I knew it.
Because they don't answer the question. But you know what? I was told that Black people need to put the country first before they put themselves first. Black people need to put this country first. And I'm like, all Black people have done was put this country first. That's all we have done. Anytime YT people have broken something, they come to us and ask us to fix it, and we do it with the least resources, anything. And I can give example after example where we fixed this country and YT people said, hey, we still gonna break it. We don't care. We don't care about you. You only care about your self-interest. I am tired. Black people are just sitting. I'm just glad Black people are in a position now where we don't need to help them. They have to do it themselves. Because we've done it with the bubonic plague. We've done it with TB, where Black nurses went out of their way to help with no PPE. They had to do it with the least equipment, with the least help. We did it in spite of. We helped y'all for 20 years when white tea nurses turned that stuff down and said, no, we're not going to help them. We did it with the triple six. I'm sorry. Yeah, the triple eight. Was it the 666 or the 888? The Black women with the letters in the army.
Oh,
that ain't lumberjack, by the way.
That is lumberjack in whiteface. Don't tell me. We did it because white
No,
women.
no, it's not. That's not what he looks
That
like.
is lumberjack. Don't tell
Okay,
me.
okay. Go ahead and finish, Sean.
So we did it. We did it with the 888, where white women were talking about, hey, we not getting our letters and our soldiers need morale. They sent black women to do it because white women wouldn't do it. We've done this time after time. White people still haven't learned their lesson. So it's their turn to go out there and march. It's your turn to do that. Y'all haven't suffered the 666 yet. That is
no. I found it. I thought it was the 888. That's what.
888. I'm sorry. Yeah, the 888.
It's 888.
That is. I'm sorry, and that is. I'm finished. This is lumberjack in whiteface, where he actually did this because he said, "Hey, I can be what I want to be. I'm just gonna claim to be a white man."
Yeah. Okay, all right, let's do this because it's been a while since there's been a lot of people that had the opportunity to speak. I want to pass it around and give other people opportunities real quick as well, though. W's in the chat for Gene. Gene sent a $1 donation saying, repping is the reason why I don't want to come together. W Black Historian, L repping, dumb behind. Also, W's in the chat for Jordan, who sent a $5 donation. Thank you so much for that $5 donation, Jordan. Sorry about that. Again, this TikTok studio is like messing up my whole vibe. Yeah, W's in the chat for Jordan for that $5 donation. You are absolutely too kind. And last but not least, guys, W's in the chat for Gucci. Hey, Gucci. W's in the chat for Gucci, who sent a $10 donation saying, the barrier to come together is that people like Rep and refuse to admit how terrible Trump is as a president. That's a whole topic. But W's in the chat for Gucci.
Actually, I did.
And thank you, Kevin, for the cash app, for the $7 cash app. I appreciate it.
I know that's right. Okay, yeah, no, guys, that means that now we are only $144 from closing out our nightly goal. We can definitely do it, guys. $144. If 144 people send $1, we can close it out. Cash App, PayPal, Venmo, all the pay links are in the link tree in the bio. Santana Speaks 24. Best way to support the live. Everything is accepted. Anything's appreciated. If you're over on YouTube and you like to support, you can send a YouTube super chat and I'll read it out. Let's do this because there's a lot of people that have not had the opportunity to speak in a while. I want to go to SJ, then I want to go to Jillian. I want to come back to KP. I want to check in on Harold. Maddie has a question. Rep needs to talk again. You got to pass it all around. So I'm going to start with SJ, then go to Jillian.
Yeah, I'm about to bounce. Drop down anyways, but
boo! Tomatoes in the chat for SJ, guys.
Hey, I gotta go to court tomorrow. It's a whole thing, but okay. Here's what comes to mind. I don't know. It's sometimes it's hard for me to answer questions in simple ways, so just bear with me. But the Black historian, I think your frustration to me is reasonable and rational because the regressive right, the Republican Party, for decades now has underfunded education. They have undermined any sort of scientific critical thought in the interest of their own superstitions in many instances and feelings. In other words, we are having conversations with people who sometimes are not intellectually equipped to even follow a thread of thought and answer a simple question. Okay. And I know they don't like to hear that, right? But Mr. Trump said it himself. I love the poorly educated. It's just a matter of fact. Oh, Santana, go ahead. Sorry.
But like I've literally been saying that, I'm going to push back on you just for a second. Is that a us problem? If we've identified this, right? If we know, like we know this, and I was literally telling someone about this today because they were talking about like Charlie Kirk and da. And I've never really listened to Charlie Kirk, right? And then I started listening to him speak, and I was like, one, this guy's, not smart. But also, two, he lies a lot, but he speaks to, like, common people, and they get the common speech. And when people on the quote-unquote left, they have more of information and knowledge and actual facts, but they talk over people's heads, and they don't speak to, like, the normal person. If we've identified that, but we keep doing that, is it a us problem?
I don't think so. Okay. I really don't. Like I had an experience today even where someone was talking about gender identity. And sorry, Black historian, if you need to interject, go for it. And then I'll continue.
No, go ahead.
I was speaking with someone about gender identity and I asked this gentleman, I said, when did you decide to be a male? because he was presenting the argument that these people are confused and this, making this choice. So even participating in a conversation like that is frustrating to them. And it's not that I'm using weird language. I'm just asking a simple question. Is it a matter of common sense and not being able to communicate with them? I don't think so, because I'm trying to relate on a personal level about an experience that they may have had. When did you decide what you like and who you are? They go crazy. So maybe you have a different way to do this, or I don't know. It's not even funny words, bro. Like, it's asking them a question that challenges their point of view. They just lose it.
Yeah.
So
Well,
it's a bit like a kid who doesn't know how to play a board game and they get frustrated. They just throw the pieces, right? Because we're like, oh, I can read the instructions, and they go, and they just ruin it for everybody. So how do you work with that? Or the kid who gets picked last on the sports team or whatever, and they're feeling some type of way, and then they decide to just, wreck everything for everybody else. That's what it feels like. So my initial point was that because it's like if you don't have a basic understanding of physics and you watch a video about quantum physics, you're gonna be like, this is magic. This is devil stuff.
It's magic.
I'm turning this off. But if you have at least some basic math, maybe you've done calculus, you've studied physics in college, you can at least follow the conversation in a documentary, right? And so I don't have an answer for how to come together with sixth graders to build a future for this country. And it's frustrating. So all I'm saying is I understand Black historians' frustration, because asking a simple question, they cannot say yes or no. They can't stay on topic. They get emotional. They lose their minds, and then they just throw the pieces.
But SJ, you can't. I don't know how to break it down any simpler. I asked this guy, if I'm having issues with my plumbing, why would I go to an electrician to fix my plumbing? You know what this idiot said? Education. Oh, it's nothing. You can figure it out yourself. If I don't know anything about plumbing, who am I going to go to?
That's the other thing too, is like we saw during the C-19 time, there was a deliberate attempt and effort to undermine any sort of scientific expertise. People bought into it on their own feelings, and now we're in a position where if you're an expert and you say you're an expert in a field, they're not going to believe you at all. So what value is quote unquote common sense, as they like to put it, or speaking to their level? It's like their level is that pathogens don't even exist, or that they know more than Nobel laureate economists. Like, I don't know, and maybe this is just my own frustration right now. I don't know how to have those conversations. So I'm here to listen on the one hand, but also share a little bit of where I'm coming from.
Yeah.
See?
I'm not saying I don't get you. I'm not saying that you're wrong. I am saying you're diabolical for saying coming together with sixth graders. I just
hey, facts
there's a lot. There's a lot there.
Studies have shown most of them can't read above the sixth grade level. I'm just saying. So take it up with the researchers, not me.
Hey, they moved up a level since last year. It was fifth.
Whatever, fifth, sixth. I mean, what's the difference, right?
That's wicked. That's wicked work. Okay. SJ, I don't know if you're gonna stay up any longer.
Yeah, I'll listen for a minute, and then I'm just working on some stuff in the background.
Okay, Jillian, floor is yours.
Okay, sorry. I was feeding a kitten and getting my daughter berries at the same time. So I seriously need to start taking notes on all the stuff I want to respond to. I've been all over the place. So yeah, I'm going to start taking notes. So I'm just going to kind of go back to what I really wanted to say coming into this of why are we divided and how do we move forward? I feel like a little bit of hope that I have is I think the left, and I'm not saying that in the far left. I'm saying all of us that are not conservatives or Republicans or MAGA, or I think you know what I mean. I think we are starting to come together more. I think we've been pretty divided for a long time between the far left and the more conservative liberals. And I think now we're finding that we all kind of want to go in the same direction. And I think the right is splintering more because so being where I am, where I'm surrounded by Trump supporters, none of them seem to agree with why they still support Trump. It's all different and it's all fractured. Like, and they argue with each other over certain things, and but then I'm finding the handful, one here or there, of people that are getting hurt and people who are not supporting Trump, whether they voted for him or not. Most of them who voted for him haven't switched yet, but finding middle ground where they didn't think they had it and saying, no, we need to come together to make sure that this doesn't continue. And I think moving forward, once more of these, I hate to say that more of these consequences have to happen and more people have to hurt, but unfortunately, I don't think it can happen before people really start to hurt. But I think some of these movements, like whether it be the Unfuck America tour or the Bernie and AOC fight oligarchy tours, like they need to start coming to after they hit the college towns and the crowds who are going to show up no matter what. They need to start coming to these smaller areas who are the farmers, the mill towns, the loggers, the people who think that voting for Trump was going to help them when it comes to tariffs and the economy, and that it's going to help out the middle class and lower class Americans. These tours need to start coming here so these people can see that, like, we give a shit, because we give a crap. So many of them think that the left is just so corrupt that that's where the corruption is. And no matter what you say in conversations, or no matter what happens on the news on either side, they're still going to see it that way. And they need to see that somebody actually is willing to come and show them that they care.
Yeah, no, listen, I completely agree with that. And I know I don't know if you saw, but I was just holding up the picture of last weekend I was in LA and I went to the Bernie AOC rally, right?
Yes.
And there was 36,000 people there. And it was such an amazing thing, but it's LA, right?
Yeah.
On one hand, I was
did quite well in Nampa.
And in Utah, But like I was super impressed on one hand where this is LA, right? It's LA, 36,000 people in one spot in LA. You're not at Lakers or Dodgers or a Ram game. Like, it's hard to get 36,000 people to do something in LA because you have so many options.
Right.
But then on the other hand, it's LA, right? I mean, of course you want to go to LA. You don't want to go to, Valdosta, Georgia, or Puyallup, Washington, or something like out in the sticks. So there's a whole difference. So I agree with you on that point. I completely agree. Let me read this off real quick. Massive W's in the chat for Gene. Gene, you've been going off tonight. Massive W's in the chat for Gene, who sent a $20 donation saying, Reppin told me to start packing. My question is, am I supposed to start packing like his brain cells did before they left him? That was mean, but it was funny. W's in the chat for Gene, who sent that $20 donation. Guys, we're $124 away from closing out the nightly donation goal. Cash App, PayPal, Venmo, all the pay links are in the link tree in the bio. Santana Speaks 24, best way to support the live. Everything's accepted, anything's appreciated. I want to come to, I want to hear from Jillian. I want to hear from KP. I know Maddie has her hand up. I know SJ wants to say something. We got to introduce Jacob, and you guys can't keep taking swipes at repping without him being able to get one in. All right, guys, this is what we're going to do.
I got you, Santana.
I'm gonna start passing around a little bit more. I'm just gonna start cutting you off. So, guys, we got to try to truncate our conversation a little bit just so we can get around the panel a little bit more. So, I'm gonna hit really quick. I'm gonna hit KP, Harrow, Maddie, SJ, repping. All right, really quick. And if I cut you guys off, no offense, but I want to make sure that we push it around a little bit more to let people talk. All right, KP, floor is yours.
Would you just like a response to like what Reppin said, or
whatever you got, friend?
I think speaking to what SJ said, and I know this is going to pain a lot of people in the chat and a lot of the panelists, but I think the biggest part of getting people to wake up, I should say, is extending a branch out to them,
yes.
Whether or not that is the thing that I want to do, does not take away from the fact that that's what has to be done. Because when you see, for instance, I know probably everyone on the panel has seen the viral video of the farmer who made a video.
With my friend Will Westmoreland.
Yes, and
W's in the chat for Will. Sorry.
It definitely does not help when you have people just pointing and I know that's what feels right, because they absolutely voted for all of this and it was an open book test, and I completely understand that. But when you have people who, like SJ was saying, and I'm not trying to insult anybody's intelligence, but when you have people who don't grasp the things that you're saying to them, you have to be willing to reach out to them and for the sake of the country, baby them in a sense. And I know that's, we shouldn't have to do that. That shouldn't be the situation that we're in. But I see no other way, because there are a lot of people. I saw some videos of Republican town halls that were asking what is happening with Abrego Garcia, because let me tell you what, for the people that still support that, I'm not putting words in your mouth, Rep, and I don't know if you support that, but what I want everyone, even Trump supporters in the chat, to understand is that when due process goes away for anybody, it goes away for everyone.
That's exactly why the background up here says courts being defied and Constitution collapsing. Listen, I completely agree with you, KP. Thank you for that. Let me pass it around. I promise you I'll be back to you soon. Harold, I want to give you the floor. Harold, what do you have?
Hello, I'm here.
All right. I want to give you the floor for a few minutes.
Okay. People see this country through their own life experiences, and some people will never understand why we feel the way we do about Trump. They will never understand, feel like he has done anything wrong. They will never feel like, or they won't understand why the sisters have so much anger and displeasure with what's going on. Right after the election, I noticed a whole paradigm shift in the way Black women think, and it's all over TikTok.
Mm-hmm.
They are done. They're not having it. There's been enough pain that's been shed amongst our people where they are just done. The filter through which they see this country is like no other person in this country. So to the sister, the Black historian, let me just say that I understand and feel your pain as a man of color. There are things that we experience that nobody will ever be able to relate to. And we are just done. The olive branches that have been extended to us before have had poison ivy on them. We reach out. Every time we do try to reach out, we end up getting the back end of the deal. And some of you guys will never understand that, again, because we see this country through a filter of our own life experiences.
Yep.
And our filter is clouded with pain. The soldiers that went and fought for this country, that came back and faced discrimination. On and on and on. There are stories of what we did for this country, and this country just kicked us in the rear end.
You're
So to
absolutely
some
right about
extent,
that, Harold.
we are
And
done and through and just really want to have like our own
thank you for the
thing.
cake.
We need our own territory and we need our own places to build our own institutions. But this country has
Yeah.
always
So
been
wait,
divided.
hold on, Harold. So I'm gonna stop you one because I said I want to make
Yeah.
sure I get this around the panel and let people speak. But the one thing that me and you need to actually have. I'm gonna have to set some time aside and like get you up here and we're gonna debate this
Yeah.
topic because every time. Yeah. Every time we have our own thing, it gets burned to the ground. I'll just say that every freaking time, or it ends up in a lake, or freaking what is it called in New York? What is it in New York? The
Central Park.
Central Park. Yeah, it ends up in that, right? But we'll talk
But
about it.
that was then, brother. We'll talk about it later. That was then, and I'm gonna go. That was then, and this is now.
And that was then, and this is now. All right, give me 1 second here. Maddie, the floor is yours.
Yeah, I'm gonna probably drop out in a second. I just want to like say a couple things before leaving.
Go right ahead.
One, I think overall, the one thing that I was always told, and I kind of stand by it, is get mad. I know it sounds crazy, but get mad, get pissed, get angry, get frustrated, because that's what's gonna be the defining factor in the next couple years. And we've already seen so much beneficial change, like in small towns. Even people are stopping going to Target and Walmart and driving an hour just to go to Costco, because of the removal of certain policies and showing their support. It's those little things that have such a drastic impact on everything that we do. So get pissed, get upset, because that's what has driven all of the changes we've made and all of the progress that we've had in every single era, whether that be women's rights, African American rights, every single thing. Um, and then I think on top of that is I can't usually stick to the fact of having conversations with people and not getting upset, because I have so much respect for you, Santana, to be able to have these conversations and
You're
not
awesome.
get into fights, because I do lives and I've had to take breaks because I get so frustrated. And I've had, an increase of anti-Semitic comments or threats in my DMs on TikTok recently. And instead of turning out and making it to where I can get scared or frustrated, I say, okay, time to play. And not necessarily give hate back, but utilize that hate into a way that is beneficial. So for me, I'm doing a crap ton of research right now on certain things for my degree. And I'm taking this opportunity to be grateful for all that I have and work my butt off in that lab until I can't work anymore.
I know that's right. I know that's absolutely right. And the one thing that I'll say as well is like, thank you for having this conversation, especially like because you've been up here for a while and it's been some things said back and forth, and being able to hold that composure and be able to have these conversations. I mean, that it's hard. And I said this to multiple people as we started, like, this is not going to be an easy conversation, and for the entire panel, not just you, but the entire panel to hold it together and actually, not have like a complete breakdown. I commend every single person on the panel, but thank you for sure, Maddie.
I'm going to go ahead and drop, but I love you. I love you guys in the panel.
Love
I
you
hope
way
you guys
more.
have a good day. And if you go to Texas, I post it on your bio so I can see. And if you make merch, I'm not kidding. I would be okay with buying it.
I meant to look at this. Look at this. I meant to show this off earlier. You see what they say?
Go on, get.
You know who merch this is? Does anyone know who merch this is? Somebody put it in the chat. Wait, who said that?
Mine. I said it.
What'd you say?
I said, is it yours?
Nope.
Oh.
Gucci said it. This is Pickles. This is Pickles merch. I surprised him. I got me and my wife a Go and Get shirt. Is his first merch that he put on his page, and I didn't say anything. I just went in and bought 2 shirts, and they came today, and I put it on, and then I hopped up on his live, and I turned on my camera, and he wasn't paying attention. I was like, just look for a second, and he saw it, and his face lit up. So I love pickles.
Okay, well, I'm gonna go ahead and drop, but put in the deets and kick ass in Texas.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. You have a wonderful night.
You as well.
Okay. Reppin', what do you got?
All right, I'm gonna end with this. So apparently, our government's being run by 6th graders.
And fascist
77 million people are 5th graders.
Correct.
The Constitution collapsed. We're in a recession.
Almost.
Medicare and Social Security is being taken away as we speak.
They are hunting for it.
Last week it was about Signal. This week it's about Kilmar.
Hey, I'm on Signal right now. Hey, no lie. Listen, no lie. We got a Signal chat. It is wild. I hope it never leaks. It's wild. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I got Signal. It's cool. But yeah, I'm interested to see what next week. What next week topic is, and we'll see.
Can I ask you like a legitimate question though, Reppin'? And so this is something that I legitimately tried to get an answer in a live, like a quote unquote MAGA live earlier this week, and the host at least seemed like she was gonna be genuine and engage in the question, but it turned into like a whole echo chamber of like back and forth, and people who, like it turned into something messy, and so I could never get the actual question answered. But the question is, what would it take for you to turn away from the Republican Party and say, I can't support you anymore because you're crossing X line? Like, what would that actually look like for you?
I think you asked me this question last time. Remember I told you?
I think I did, and it still like
I told you that if they don't solve this the conflict with
oh yeah, I remember you saying that. Yeah,
I was like, I'm done with the party.
Okay, and so the reason why I've been like hunting for the question is not because it ended up into like a lady, she was like, why are you trying to turn me against Donald Trump? And I said, I never said Trump. And I mean, legitimately, I wasn't trying to gaslight anybody. I wasn't trying to lead them or anything. Like, it's a legitimate question in the sense of like, I'm trying to have an understanding as far as for certain people, where's that line? Reppin', do you see that with like people that would call themselves, MAGA or Republicans or whatever? Like, have you noticed that where there's certain people who are just like, because the lady was like, I'm a diehard Republican and I'll always be a Republican and I'm going to vote Republican no matter what. And I think for anyone that says that, no matter if you're voting Republican or Democrat, for you to sit here and say it doesn't matter what, your party does, you're always going to support them. That's absolutely insane. And I would never feel that way.
No, I don't agree with that.
It was interesting, and I was just trying to figure that out.
Yeah, I'm not no MAGA like that. I'm not even MAGA. I'm just
you kind of are.
I just like politicking. It's entertaining.
You MAGA.
I like wearing my Donald Trump shirt everywhere I go. You know what I mean? Just waiting.
You got a shirt Reppin'?
You already know. I got it off TikTok Live debating.
Oh, that's horrible.
All right, but y'all have a good night. I gotta get to bed, man.
All right, thank you for coming on, Reppin'. And seriously, hey, thank you for actually engaging in the panel and not whatever.
Yes, sir.
Hey, come see me on sparring though. I'll fatten all this up around your eye.
He did was not crash out. He's still MAGA.
He didn't, but like that's better than most of them. They always crash. They always crash, hey? W's in the chat for Gene. Gene sent another $1 donation saying what they mean by make America great is they want to go back to the 1940s where black people were paying into the system but weren't benefiting from it. They want that free black labor again. F MAGA. Listen, there's a word there. W's in the chat for Jacob. Jacob, what up, Jacob? I'm coming to you next. Jacob sent a $1 donation saying Luka won me so much money, so Lakers in 4. Listen, Jacob, I need you to come off mute for me because I need you to hear this one.
Yo.
You ready?
Yeah.
Jacob. Timberwolf, Werewolf, Wolfgang Puck, Pucker Up, Lakers in 5. Boom!
Yeah, that was a pretty good one. Can't lie.
Jacob, what do you got?
I just wanted to say that as I came on here like 3 weeks ago, I said that there needed to be something to get to the younger vote. There needed to be someone to step up. There needed to be a group of people that stepped up. So it was a complete surprise when I saw the Unfuck America tour. And I just want to commend all of you because as a young person that is dealing with this in this new day and age, it's hard because I feel like a lot of young people are misinformed. So I just wanted to thank you guys and commend you guys because, as I said in the live a couple weeks ago, I feel like there needed to be someone that got out to the youth 18 to 22, and that's what you guys are doing. So
yeah, no, listen, let me just say one thing real quick. Massive W's in the chat for Will Westmoreland. Will, you must have heard me talking about you earlier. We were talking about you and the way that you had that olive branch for the farmer who listen, you and I have talked about this before, but like this is the type of live that you inspire, that you encourage, and like this is the thing that I know for a fact that you're about. But yes, we were just singing your praises earlier. Thank you so much for sending out the subs. You're absolutely amazing. With that being said, Jacob, listen, I completely agree with you. And thank you. You don't have to thank me. But like I completely agree. Like I think that it's such an opportunity to speak directly to the young people and to actually push back on misinformation, disinformation, but even more than that, to actually come together as a collective unit and have our voices heard. And I'll just say this real quick because the weird gecko guy just jumped up on the panel. And it's funny, like, I don't know if we were just talking about this past weekend in LA, like the gap as far as the creators and how we need to actually be more cohesive. And now we have that opportunity.
yes, and it's going to be a detriment because, okay, I just started coming into these lives like, 2 months ago? So not that long ago. But you and a lot of other people inspired me to go out and protest, go out and do things. Because before, I felt like I really didn't have something to uplift me because I've been going through a lot this year. And this is something that I can actually get passionate about and something that I can fight for because it is wrong. So it's a detriment. I just want to thank you, man.
Listen, Jacob, I told you this before, and I'll tell you this again. I'm super proud of you, right? I mean, you're a young man. You have your entire life ahead of you, and for you to stand up and say like, "Hey, I need to make my voice heard. I need to take a stand. I need to do this." Like, at the age that you're at, you could be off on spring break somewhere, or you could be, playing PS5 or whatever. But you're trying to fight for what's right, and like that, I couldn't be prouder of you. So.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just gonna be honest. I see a lot of my friends and peers as more as they just follow what they think is like funny or what they think is just like it's immature stuff. And Me, I try to think more about what's going to happen, what's going to be the end result. It's not about popularity, it's more about what you think is right. And the path that we're going in is awful. So we just need to stand up. And I've been trying to advocate this lately to the youth because a lot of us are misinformed. A lot of us go on podcasts. I mean, we're young. We are stuck to our phones like 24/7. So we see all the popular, right wing creators and we just believe everything they say. So, I mean, I just want to be a leader and I want to show people like, hey, this is not right. So we need to change something.
Yep, absolutely, absolutely. Thank you so much for that, Jacob. I agree with you. You got it, and you got my support. I'm not gonna read this off, but I will say, W's in the chat for Josh. Josh, thank you so much for the dollar donation. Also, thank you so much for bringing that to my attention. I did not know that. I'm gonna look into that, and honestly, if that's true, then that makes what we're doing even more important. But W's in the chat for Josh. Thank you, Josh, for that dollar donation. You are absolutely, absolutely too kind. Guys, there's $121 left in the nightly donation goal. There's $328. I mean, there's 328 people here. We can take care of this. So if 121 people send out $1, we can close out our nightly donation goal. Cash App, PayPal, Venmo, all the pay links are in the link tree in the bio. Santana Speaks 24 is the best way to support the live. Everything is accepted. Anything's appreciated. And if you're over on YouTube, one, tap the screen. Tap the screen. Let's get the likes up. But also, two, you can donate with a YouTube super chat, and I will read that message off on the screen. Also, guys, apparently we're in the sub wave. We only need one more sub to close out the sub wave, and we got 8 minutes. If you're not a subscriber and you would like to subscribe, please consider doing so. You get access to a fast pass for the panels for late nights. You get access to an amazing Discord with a bunch of great people, a lot of great resources, and also you get a bunch of really cool emotes. And you know what? I'm gonna have to update it and put some more emotes in there. As a matter of fact, I got one that I want to put in. So if you're not a subscriber, please consider subscribing. We only need one more to close out the sub wave. I want to come to that weird gecko guy because this is going to be my partner in crime next week. We're going to be at Texas A&M. We are going to be out for the Unfuck America tour. We're going to be doing all the great things. And hey, Never Trump Penguin. W's in the chat for Never Trump Penguin. Thank you so much for the sub. Weird gecko guy.
Evening, my friend.
Good evening. How are you?
Good. All right. So I will not be in Texas. I won't be there.
Wait, you're not coming?
I'm not. I found out about it too late.
Okay.
Shockingly, based on my name, I have a lot of exotic animals, and travel for me needs to be planned well in advance to make that happen.
Oh, okay.
But I requested up because the guy that you were talking to, what's his name, Reppin 47 or whatever he was.
Reppin 47, yeah.
He said something that kind of got glossed over that I just want to point out for people to deal with guys like him.
Yeah.
He said he wears a shirt and he's waiting for people to say something to them. And I strongly believe a lot of people that wear MAGA shirts, it's one of those no attention is bad attention moments. Like they want to get a rise out of someone. And I also think those are the type of people we can reach. Because earlier you and I talked about who you can reach and who you can't.
Yep.
The ones that just want attention, I think they're way more reachable than people think because they're so easily manipulated.
You think so?
I do.
You know what? I disagree with that one. You know why? Because when certain people, at least in my opinion, when the certain people that are so easily manipulated, it's like they fall in love, right? And they fall super hard. And they become so invested. And like, let's be honest, when you're willing to actually spend your money on something and actually put that thing, like, I'll use this example. Hats are my thing, right? I love hats. I wear hats. all the time. And so, um, since I actually love hats, and I spend money on hats, I buy different hats or whatever. It's a part of my personality, right? I love a good hat. I love different styles of hats. And whenever I'm trying to figure out what I'm going to wear, I'm always trying to figure out which hat I'm going to wear with it or whatever. And it becomes a part of my personality. And for when people like are willing to spend their money on the MAGA shirts or the MAGA hats or the whatever, it becomes a part of them and their personality and their everyday life and their routine, and they fall in love with it. And so once they fall into that level of manipulation, it becomes even harder to pull them away from it because it's something that they've held on to so close and tight to for so long that you trying to say, well, actually, I know you like that hat, but let me show you this visor. And you're like, no, I don't like visors. I just like hats. Like it's a thing.
I get what you're saying, but I actually don't think they really. I think in this instance, I don't think they give a shit what shirt they're wearing. I think they like feeling like they belong. And I think they like the reaction, like where they can feel like I've had an effect on people. Like I don't think he cares what the shirt is. He would wear a Biden shirt if it got him the same reaction.
So like basically a rage baiter, someone who's hoping to be a contrarian and get that actual attention or whatever the case may be.
Some of them are, yeah, but again, a lot of them, I just feel like. A lot of them, I feel like they've never felt like they belonged. And one of the things that fascism does very well is makes people feel like they belong.
It absolutely does. Listen, that's why Hitler not only leaned into ultra nationalism, but also started getting everybody to wear the same thing. Right? They became very uniformal because feeling like you belong actually gave them that sense of connection, and people who don't quote unquote have family or whatever. Oh, geez Louise, that is actually, thank you for making me think. Okay.
Obviously, you and I come at this from a very different perspective.
Yeah.
Like I grew up in the punk scene in the 90s, and the amount of lost young dudes that were tilting towards fascism, and the second other people accepted them and they realized like I don't have to be tough 24/7. They like it was just like the loneliness and looking for belonging. Now they were lonely because they were angry people. Like it's not like I don't want to be one of those guys. It's like, oh, it's the loneliness.
Oh, yeah, lost souls. Yeah, no.
Yeah, like
no, you're just a jerk.
Yeah, you got to work on yourself before people are going to want to be around you. And when you do that, then you won't be lonely. But I feel like dudes like him are more savable than people think, because he's doing that for the reaction.
I never thought of it that way.
Will posted the absolute.
I see that.
Right there. It's 12 to 15, depending on what study you read. Like they're up because they're told, oh, you can't crack jokes anymore. You have to be sensitive of everyone's feelings. And the right's like, you can say whatever you want over here.
I would love to hear your thoughts on this. So I think this was Jillian, hold me, keep me accountable. I think we talked about this like the other night or whatever, but about like young white men, how people are neglecting young white men. Did we talk about that? We talked about that the other night, right? You remember that?
It's ringing a bell.
Okay, so all right, cool. So listen, I want to throw this to you specifically. We're Gecko Guy. I said that I think young white men are saying no one cares about us, and they might have a point. Now, my premise is in the sense of not necessarily that they absolutely are like, oh, forgotten, but they feel forgotten in the sense that we're always talking about the queer community and their rights. We're always talking about women and their rights, and we're always talking about people of color and their rights. And we are talking about all of these other marginalized groups in which we should be, right? And then people aren't talking about, young white men, and which if you have any type of real understanding, you understand that, that's the patriarch, right? I mean, they're not being othered. They're not in a place where they are being oppressed or anything like that. But they're not getting any type of attention, and the right has capitalized on that and made them a victim where they're like, they lean into that saying, hey, they don't care about you because they're too busy worrying about transgender people. They don't care about you because they're too busy worrying about black people. They don't care about you because they're too busy worrying about women. What do you think about that?
So I'm going to come at this a little different than young people. I know y'all can't see my face right now, but I'm almost 50. So I'm coming at this a little different. One of the things that Republicans are very good at is framing. And I get a lot of young, angry white dudes in my lives, and they'll say stuff to me like that, like, oh, like, nobody cares about me. Everyone cares about, like, blue-haired they-thems that make my coffee, which is a literal thing someone said to me the other day. And I was like, hey, if the blue-haired they-them gets every single privilege that people want to give them, they just wind up as privileged as you and I are. And they hated it. And I'm like, you hate what I just said because it stings, because it's true. Like, what I just said is true. And, like, if you, like Santana, I'm going to pick on you because you're the only person on the panel that I've spoken to before. If you got every single privilege that everyone that talks like, oh, the black community needs these protections and these, this, that, whatever, you would just wind up where I get to be every day. Like, that's the reality. Joanne, what does age have to do with it? I don't know what it's like to be a young white person, and I want to be very clear that me growing up in the 80s and 90s when the economy was booming and the crazy Republicans that run the party were the fringe Republicans, younger people are growing up in a very different world. Like, we're talking about people that don't remember life before 9/11. Like, it's and I want to recognize these people have grown up in different worlds with different economies. Like, when I was younger, everything was great and the economy was good to white people. But a lot of these young white kids don't have that, like, it is different. Like, I am older than the parents of some of my followers, which is why I brought it up. But, like, I think that's part of the framing. Cause like you said, Republicans are like, they never talk about you. Yeah. Cause nobody needs to talk about me. Like, the only thing that I don't get to do is say like 3 words.
Oh, and they want to say those words so bad though. That's the thing. The fact that they can't say those words really make them mad because all they want to do is say those words.
I had a guy in my live the other night, and we only had like 10 people in there because we were chilling. And he was talking about like, well, I can't say it, but they say it in rap all the time. I was like, say it. And he's like, what? I'm like, say it. And I'm like, white guy to white guy, say it. Because you can say it. It's not that you can't say it. You don't want the social repercussions of saying something so hateful. And that's different from not being allowed to do it. You're just not allowed to do it with immunity.
Yep. That's
like,
exactly it.
I do feel like one of the things that, like, what you were saying, one of the things everyone left of, I hesitate to call the Democrats left, but everyone left of fascism could point out in these conversations is we need everyone to have the same rights. And I did see someone comment while the comments were going by that equality feels like oppression.
Yes, it
equality
does.
feels it does. Equality feels like oppression when you've had everything.
Yep.
And when equality makes life harder, it's also very difficult for people to understand they have privilege. Like, I grew up poor. And for a long time, when you told me, like, if you told 16-year-old me that I had white privilege, which wasn't even really a thing when I was 16, I would have been like, fuck off. I had sleep for dinner last week. I'm not privileged.
Yep.
Because I didn't have the perspective, And a lot of them don't have that perspective because shit sucks for them, but it doesn't suck for them because they're white.
We gotta watch the language. My mom is watching.
Oh, my bad. I'm sorry.
Good, go
sorry.
ahead.
The white trash came out a little bit. My bad.
Whoa.
Thing like it's very hard to tell someone that's living paycheck to paycheck and is struggling and has a late phone bill and is worried about something getting repossessed that they're privileged if they don't have the education to understand the difference.
Yeah, 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 absolutely. Like, listen, I think that geez, I genuinely love this conversation because Harold said Harold said it earlier. Like, we live our lives through a prism, right? And until you can actually take yourself out of yourself, I was speaking on a panel earlier, and I was talking about like how, or no, I was yeah, no, I don't know. I'm on so many panels. Anyway, in some point in space time, I was on a panel and I was talking about like my privilege, right? Because I have male privilege. And it's something that for a long time I never realized until I started having conversations, and the conversation was like I there's things that women worry about that I don't have to worry about. Like if I walk down the street at night and it's dark, I'm just walking down the street at night and it's dark. I might worry about the cops, but I'm not worried about anything else. I don't know to put my keys in between my fingers, to make claws. I don't know to, make sure that I'm on the opposite side or of the street and there's like lights and all. I don't know those things that women not only know but are taught, and they constantly have to be, conscious of, and that's male privilege. And so that rolls into understanding your privilege, understanding that there is a patriarchal system, but also understanding like how do you remove yourself from that and advocate for others, because there is someone else that's always going to be in need. And I tell you this because the person that runs this entire live, she gives me this perspective all the time, and she talks about like when she teaches deconstruction, she always starts with people with disabilities, right? Because there's a lot of people who say, oh, well, I feel oppressed because I'm black, or I feel oppressed because I'm a woman, or I feel oppressed because of this or that. But then, and they say, well, that's it. I'm at the quote unquote bottom. But then you can say, well, are you a disabled person? And they say, well, no. And then they have to take themselves out of their privilege of being able bodied and realize that there's another level to it. So I want to do this because you and I have been yapping back and forth, and there's so many people on the panel that actually want to jump in on this conversation. W's you, Dan. Let me read this off real quick. W's in the chat for Tamisha. Tamisha, you are freaking far too kind. Tamisha sent $1 donation, and this came from earlier when I was like, if everybody sends $1. Tamisha sent the $1 and said, always happy to be here. Thank you for all that you do. Tamisha, thank you so much for the donation. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you for being amazing. Guys, we have $120 left in our nightly donation goal. There's 348 people watching. I know we can do it. I have faith in you. We got a timer up on the screen. We got 21 minutes left. I know we can knock this out before the end of the live. Cash App, PayPal, Venmo, all the pay links are in the link tree in the bio. Santana Speaks 24, best way to support the live. If you enjoy the information, education, entertainment, please consider donating. Everything's accepted, anything's appreciated. SJ, I saw you say something in actually, this is what I want to do. SJ, you said you want to respond to it. I'm gonna come to you first, SJ, and then Jillian, the Black Historian, Harold, KP, Jacob, or actually, I'm sorry, SJ, then Lethal or Lilith, because you haven't spoke. So SJ, then Lilith, and then we'll just pass it all around the panel. Go ahead, SJ.
Yeah, I'll try and be quick. I see you have a timer there. So I didn't say what religion I grew up in, but I grew up Mormon. So like this whole MAGA moment. Yeah. That's a separate conversation, brother.
Hold on. I'm sorry. I know. We only have a few minutes, but I gotta ask the question.
Yeah.
What's up with the Mormon sex sheets?
Oh, brother.
If you guys don't know about if you don't know about the Mormon sex sheets, look it up. I'm sorry. Go ahead, SJ.
I haven't heard it called out before, but yeah, we can chat another time. But on a serious note, the faith is structured in a way that there is a leader, and you don't question that leader. You follow everything, right? And so the similarities I see with MAGA are, to me, very obvious. They start with the assumption of him being chosen. You see them talking about it. I don't know if you've seen the weird religious praise of him as well in some of the churches. It's very strange. You can find it. It's disturbing, right? But piggybacking off what you just said though about not knowing what it's like to be a woman, that's a clear example of empathy, right? You went through that process, you realize, hey, I don't know what this experience is like. And growing up the way I did, I was very conservative. Like, used to listen to Rush Limbaugh and Sean Hannity and all of that, like crazy conservative. And I remember the first time I had a conversation with someone who crossed the border, and she told me the story of how she did it. And my heart, like, I just felt something for her, right? And it was undeniable. Now, the reason I share that, and it's related to trans people as well, gay people, I didn't know gay people existed. This is true till I was maybe 18, 19. I was like, oh, that's real. I'm not proud of that. I'm just saying it's like I understand where they might be coming from, because when you get information from one source and you're told certain things, unless you humanize the thing you're demonizing or the person, you're not going to progress. And so it's easy for them to, push certain things away or talk about it a certain way. And maybe this is related to your initial question. Why are we divided? It's humanity is at the center of this. We have to, as I don't remember who said it, make some space to listen, have these conversations, as uncomfortable as it might be. I'm not always about it, just like the Black historian, but it's true. Like, at some point they have to agree on reality. And then two, we have to make space for the conversation. All right, that's it.
Absolutely. SJ, thank you so much for coming to hang out. I'm glad we peer pressured you into staying longer. Thank you for coming up here and hanging out with us tonight.
Yeah, all good, brother.
All right, have a good night. Lilith, how are you?
I'm good. Can you hear me?
I can. The floor is yours. What would you like to talk about, friend?
Well, I just kind of want to real quick piggyback off the privilege thing. I think that a lot of people correlate privilege with wealth.
Yes.
And that is not always.
Hold on. Lilith, you have an echo. Can you swipe out? Yeah, can you just swipe out for a second? I'm gonna mute you. Just swipe up like you're checking a text message and just come right back. Or swipe up like you're checking a text. There you go. Then come right back. Guys, massive W's in the chat for Daryl. Daryl sent a $5 donation. Thank you so much, Daryl. And massive W's in the chat for Dwayne. Dwayne sent a $1 donation saying, let's get this dollar train to close it out. Thank you so much for that $1 donation, Dwayne. Guys, that means we only have $114 left in our nightly donation goal. Cash App, PayPal, Venmo, all the pay links are in the link tree in the bio. Santana Speaks 24, best way to support the live. Okay, let's try it again, Lillian. I'm going to send your request to come off mute.
Is that better?
Let's see. Okay.
Okay. No, is that better?
Are you on a Bluetooth?
No, I'm on a mic. Let me try taking that off. See if that works.
Okay.
Is that better?
Okay. Oh, that's perfect. There we go. Right. That's perfect. Thank you.
That was the problem then. Yeah. I think a lot of people, what I was saying is correlates privilege with wealth, which is not always true. I mean, yeah, it can be, but I'm going to give you an example of how I see privilege. I am white. My brother, privilege is my brother being able to go to a judge's house, threaten the judge at his house, and get a slap on the wrist. Well, I know if he was a different shade, he would have gotten the book. That's how I kind of see privilege as, sometimes. But there's also like different levels to privilege as well.
Your brother did what?
My brother went to a judge's house, threatened him at his house, and got like 2 months in jail.
Yeah, let me just say this real quick, and excuse my language, but I would never in my black ass life consider doing anything like that. Ooh. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Lilith.
Yeah. When I heard what he did, I was just like, yeah, that's my brother. My brother is a special kind of person. But also, I wanted to kind of make and see what everybody's thoughts were on RFK Jr.'s remarks on the autism. because my adopted daughter just recently got diagnosed with autism, and his comments kind of rubbed us the wrong way.
I'm not willing to share any thoughts on RFK because one, my mom is watching, but two, I think that he is the lowest of low POS. He is a rapist. He is a felon. He is a uneducated. You know what? Like it's a lot. So I'll leave that to the rest of the panel, and I would love to hear what the rest of the panel think about him.
Yeah, I was not too happy when I seen his remarks on what he had said.
If I can chime in as someone on the spectrum, anyone that says they'll never play baseball has never met a pitcher or a catcher. Because the Venn diagram of people that play sports with autism and people that are catchers in baseball is basically a single overlapping circle. But he wants to insist that it's medical for whatever weird reason. But I just have to say, anyone that's like, oh yeah, that makes sense. You have never met a catcher in baseball or a pitcher because they are part of the brotherhood on that one.
Would anybody else like to chime in on RFK?
My opinions on I don't know specifically the comments that you're talking about. When I first heard that a Kennedy was going to separate and run as an independent party, I was like, oh my God, we might have a chance against Trump. And I was like, if anybody's going to do it, if anybody's going to get a third party, Kennedy can do it. And then I looked into him, and I was just, I think I said more than once, his ancestors would be rolling in their graves.
What?
Yes.
Absolutely. W's in the chat for Gucci, who sent a $5 donation saying FRFK. Listen, Gucci, that is the nicest thing that you could absolutely say about him. Thank you so much for that $5 donation, Gucci. Guys, we're only $109 away from closing out the nightly donation goals. And also, welcome in Jessica Ray. Drop some coconuts in the chat for Jessica Simone, my co-host for the Culture and Chaos podcast. Next episode drops Monday at 12 noon. Guys, if you're not following us on all the socials and wherever pods can be found, make sure you follow us, the Culture and Chaos podcast. We will have our second episode dropping Monday at 12 p.m. Eastern, 9 a.m. Pacific. Anyone else want to chime in on RFK?
I want to chime in, and I'm a drop. I'm sleepy.
Okay. I thought you were going for a minute, but I was going to keep you up here because, you know, I like having you up here.
It's been a minute.
It has, because you don't mess with me like that no more. You ignore me.
I got another job, and I have to go into the office. So I'll be sleeping.
Whatever. Shay, I got one question for you. And you know what I'm about to do, right?
Why the fuck you lying? Why you always lying? Oh my God. Stop fucking lying.
You just don't love me, Shay. I know you do, but you just don't love me. That's all it is.
4 days a week. So I'm in the office Monday through Thursday, and I happen to not go into the office on Friday. So that's why I'm up a little bit.
I'm just giving you a hard time.
I can't believe you played that song.
I know, right?
So, yeah, RFK is a POS. If you go into his background and his history, he's always been a POS. So it's nothing. He's nothing like his father or his uncle or even the other one who had a questionable history who unalived while Obama was in office. But no, I don't know how he. I know how he got the job, but
you know how he got the job.
But I don't even know why people even considered him. I guess they like felons because he's a felon and Trump is a felon. So the whole administration is criminal. I don't even think children are allowed in the White House because of all the criminals that are in there. So I also wanted to say it's amazing how MAGA can notice war can you say war here? War crimes against
war
other
crimes.
communities in other countries when they don't even know that war has been declared on communities here in the States. When we tell them that war has been declared on the Black community or other underprivileged communities, they don't believe us. But they want to stop those wars, but not the ones that are here, the atrocities that are committed on this land, because it's so sudden. Just because we're not getting boom booms dropped on us. Well, I should take that back, because we did get one dropped on us in 85. We're not getting it dropped on us continuously. They think it's not happening.
Well, Shay, I mean, we see the double standard when you start talking about Carmelo Anthony, right? I mean, like, we know what it is. We know what it is. Like, we know exactly what's going on. And the fact that they can take such a stance now, but, you know, years ago, Kyle Rittenhouse was their hero. George Zimmerman was just standing his ground. Like, all of these other instances, it's a case of, you know, someone actually defending themselves. But now it's a case of, you know, unaliving someone. Now this person needs to be held accountable. Now this person needs to be locked up in jail. I just wonder what's the difference.
They should have just came to fight. They should have just fought. No, he had a right to defend himself. I wish somebody would tell me I can't be somewhere and they bigger than me, way bigger than me, because that happened to me. If that girl would have came over to me talking about she ready to fight, I would have threw the desk at her, and I would have been what? Now they say, oh, you need to go to jail because you had the weapon, you used the weapon as a desk. No, she was like 6'6" to me. So, you know, it's just a double standard everywhere. But have a good night, everybody.
Have a wonderful night. You did. Thank you for coming to hang out with us.
I'll try to do it. You up tomorrow?
We sparring tomorrow. We getting active.
Well, yeah.
I've been way too nice this week. It's time to get active.
Well, I'll be in there trying to mod.
Thank you, Shay. I love you so much. Have a good night.
Love you guys too. Bye-bye.
Hey, bro, I just need to say something, and I'm going to drop out.
I was just about to come to you. Floor is yours, Harold.
Okay. You know, even in the context of people trying to explain to us their reasoning for, I'm referencing the talk you had with the gentleman. What's that? That W? The only thing I took out of that conversation was that the 80s and 90s were a great economic time.
Oh, you mean with where Gecko guy was saying?
Yeah, and getting back to how we see things through the filter of our experience. When he said that, all I could think about how the crack was being dumped.
C-Rack. Ooh, you can't say that on.
My bad. My bad.
Ooh, listen, I'm gonna have to drop you down. You come right back up. I got to drop you down. Just request right back up. Guys, let's do the things, right? Let's get to 150,000 likes before the end of the live. We can do that. Let's get to 150,000 likes before the end of the live. You know, if we want to knock out the nightly donation goal, there's only $109 left in it, so we can knock that out before the end of the live. If we want to, you know, do any of the good things, let's do all of that. And I would be remiss if I did not mention that Monday, guys, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday is going to be a lot of fun. We gosh, I don't want to give up any of the goods. The one thing that I will say about going to Texas for the Unfuck America tour is there's going to be a lot of crossover. So just watch lives, watch for content. You never know where you're going to see me or see someone else or whatever. So yeah, it's going to be really good. All right, Harold, the floor is yours.
My apologies about that.
No, you're good. You're good.
When the 80s and 90s was mentioned, all I could think about how our communities was being decimated by
C-Rack.
And by C-Rack and the beginning of gangster rap and the violence and what it did to our community. So just an example of how we see things through the filter of our experiences. And this whole MAGA, Make America Great Again, the fact that we even accept that makes us part of the issue, in that we accept that America was great at one point. Nobody debates that whole Make America Great Again slogan. When was that? I think I asked this before. Somebody help me out. If anybody could tell me when America was great, particularly for somebody who looks like me, I'll be more than willing to listen. I'm going to bow out with that. But somebody, please tell me, when was America great for somebody who looks like me?
Yeah,
Y'all have a good night.
listen, Harold, thank you so much for coming up. I really appreciate you. You are awesome, and you're always listen. I'm telling you, next week, well, yeah, at some point when you come back, you and I are going to start this debate off as far as segregation in the black community. Like you and I are gonna, when next week, I want you to come up here and you're gonna go one on one with the great one, me versus you.
Absolutely.
All right.
Forward to it.
Have a good night, my
Peace.
friend.
All right.
Let me say this, guys. W's in the chat for Anonymous. Anonymous sent a $20 donation and a message with it to say, keep this Anonymous with your begging ass. Excuse my language. Whatever, Anonymous. W's in the chat for Anonymous for who sent that $20 donation towards the nightly donation goal. That means that we are now only $89 away from closing out the nightly goal. Guys, I think we can do it before the close of the live. $89 to close out the nightly goal. Cash App, PayPal, Venmo. All the pay links in the link tree in bio. Santana Speaks 24. Best way to support the live. KP, floor is yours, friend.
Thank you, Santana. I appreciate you having me up tonight.
Thank you.
I just wanted to speak to what the Gecko guy was saying. As that demographic of 18 to 24, I'm right at the end, 24-year-old white man. I just want to say that none of it is an excuse at all for how they act. I get that it's easy to fall back on being at the top, and it's easy not to challenge things that go in your favor. But I saw growing up, just as much as anybody, how like I had more leeway because I was a troublemaker, and I had more leeway when it came than like compared to my black friends, and I could get away with a lot more. And like it got so bad to the point where like he was getting written up and was threatened to be thrown out of school just for the behavior, like the same behavior that I exhibited. And then when it comes to it's just opening your eyes. You like everything that I watched growing up was a white kid at the center of it. And that speaks to gay people's rights, black people's rights, trans people's rights. You want to feel represented.
Absolutely.
And I just want to say, like, I don't sympathize with like the loneliness that they feel or anything like that. Like I reject that completely, because just not being at the center of everything after being at the center for hundreds and thousands of years, it's not oppression. It's not like reverse racism. It's pathetic, quite honestly. And that's just all I had to say as part of that unfortunate demographic.
Yeah, no, listen. KP, you one of the good ones. No, like seriously, it always surprises me when I hear you speak, because you speak with a level of not only intelligence but wisdom that is far beyond your years, and like you make me proud. Jacob makes me proud. Like the actual young people that are getting it and doing the work and trying to be better. Like you guys genuinely make me proud and make me hopeful. So thank you for coming up and hanging out again with us this evening.
Thank you for having me, brother, and everyone else on the panel and in the chat. You guys have a wonderful night.
Absolutely. Jacob, speaking of Jacob, oh wait. W's in the chat for Vicky, who sent a $9 donation, said make it an even number. I guess like the uneven number was making Vicky brain itch. And also massive W's in the chat for Caleb. Caleb, I love you so much. Caleb is always holding down YouTube. Caleb sent a $9.99 YouTube super chat to say sending some love. Caleb, I love you. Thank you so much for your support. You're freaking amazing. Jacob, what do you got?
Just going back on what everyone was speaking about, I see it firsthand every day, because again, I'm in that younger group. So I mean, I see that like all they care about is themselves and they don't care about anyone else. And these creators are preaching that same thing too. And so it really pisses me off because we need equality and there's just none of that. I mean, what I'm trying to do right now is I'm just trying to restore everything in the college aspect, in the college scene, because I go to a school in Iowa. Okay, lot of young white, they don't give a fuck. All they care about is
language, Jacob.
sorry.
I'm gonna
Sorry.
tell my mom. That was Jacob. That was not me. That was Jacob.
Yeah, well, I'm sorry, but like, there's just a point where I need to swear, and I'm so sorry to everyone. So
That's my. That's my. She gonna be mad at me for saying that. That's my wife's favorite word.
yeah, well, honestly, when I get angry, it just comes out. So, but honestly, just to end it, I'm just gonna do what's right for me in the end of the day, and I'm gonna do what's right for just trying to get that demographic out. And again, what you guys are doing is more than unbelievable. It's something that's gonna really help the younger demographic that I see struggling every day with these issues of like politics. So I will be tuning in. I'll be watching. I'll be seeing you guys go to work, and I'm excited. So
Yeah.
thank you.
No. Listen, Jacob. I'll say this again and a million times over. I'm so proud of you. But thank you for coming up. I hope I make you proud. I hope you enjoy it. We're gonna be streaming left and right, and hopefully it's something that you'll be able to brag about. So thank you.
Yep. All right.
All right. Have a good
Thank
evening.
you guys.
See you. W's in the chat for Shining Light Hope. Thank you so much for the sub. The Weird Gecko guy, what do you got?
I don't know that I have anything else I want to add at this point. Actually, the gentleman that you said you were gonna go back and forth with, who was talking about what it was like in the '80s. I don't know if he's still in here. I hope he is still in here. I put this comment in the chat, but I think this is also really important. Something that someone said to me one time that has always stuck with me is, we don't see the world as it is, we see the world as we are.
Mm-hmm.
And it takes age to learn that.
Mm-hmm.
But I wanted to add that, but I absolutely did not want to jump up and interrupt him. So I hope he's still in here listening.
Yeah, no, listen, I think that's a great point. The blessing of getting old, and I say that as an old man, but the blessing of getting old is gaining, or it should be gaining that wisdom and being able to learn and grow and not be the same person you were when you were 20, at 30, at 40, at 50, or whatever. So I completely agree, and it shapes who you are, your thoughts and your prisms. And I'll just say this as well to end this off. I appreciate you coming up here and making me critically think tonight. I like that's something that bothers me about people on the other end of the aisle, on the right, where they don't like to be challenged with their thought process. And anytime someone can actually make me think and make me question a point or a perspective or a stance, I appreciate that so much. And you absolutely did that tonight. So thank you.
Obviously you and I were raised very different. I was raised super right wing. However right wing you think I was raised, it was more right wing.
Were you Mormon right wing though?
No, I was it was a religious household. It was a religious household.
Mm-hmm.
It was a young Earth creationist household, but yeah, I'm always happy to come up. I don't request when the topic definitely doesn't need my voice, but I'm always happy to come up and talk.
And you're always welcome.
Yeah, some conversations my voice doesn't need to be there. And I say that with love and admiration for everyone on your board that's given their voice.
I understand. I understand. Well, listen, thank you for coming up. I'm bummed that I'm not going to see you next week, but I still appreciate you.
Well, hopefully the next one I'll see you. You have a good night, my friend.
Absolutely. You too.
Alrighty, bye now.
Lilith, what do you got?
I don't think I really have much more to say. But thank you for letting me come up and say hey.
Absolutely. Thank you for coming up. I mean, I know you've been up before, but I've enjoyed it, and I'm happy to have you here, and happy to have your voice, and happy to have your thought-provoking perspective. I I'm sorry I didn't really answer your question. It's just I never have anything good to say about RFK. Like as bad as you think that he is, or what you could say about him, it's way worse for me. So
Yeah, well, I put a curse on him, a not too nice curse. So,
I know that's right. Let me get
yeah.
some of that juju, because I'll do it too.
Well, the curse involves a flesh-eating disease on a certain part of his anatomy that I will not say.
Mm, mm.
I'll leave it to everybody's imagination on where it goes.
Yep, nope, absolutely. Get it all. Anyway, Lilith, thank you so much for coming up. I appreciate you.
Yeah, I'll join you next time you have a open panel.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Yep. Have a good night.
Good night. Jillian.
Me last again.
You know what? But did you notice I purposely kept you last though? Like
Yes, I love it because then I can blab and I don't have to feel guilty.
Well, it is t-shirt time. But no, like I mean, it felt good. Like you were the first person up on the panel. You didn't leave me high and dry up here. You hung out all night. So I was like, no, I want you to, be the last person, get the last word.
Yeah, no, I love it. And honestly, there's so many things I could say about talked about. But I have to say thank you so much for having me up here so much.
You're always welcome.
Being in an area where it's so concentrated in MAGA, it's so nice to be able to be a part of a community and have conversations with people that not always like-minded, but have kind of the same goals, and just being able to talk freely and realize that the little pocket that I'm in isn't what it's like everywhere. But it's also funny. I really need to change my profile pic.
Really? Why?
When that last one was talking about his age, I'm like, well, I'm not that much younger. This picture is like 15 years old. Because my kid always makes fun of me because I can't take. I suck at selfies.
Okay.
So I have like no current pictures, and I used to always put pictures of her, and she's like, you can't put pictures of me. So I found an old picture of me and put it on there, which didn't matter when I didn't go live, and now that I do, I'm like, well, that's kind of like false advertisement. But no, things were so different in growing up in the 80s and 90s. Like, I think we started to take it for granted. So I grew up in the Seattle area in a suburb. So at my high school, it wasn't even 50% white. Like I would say white was still probably the majority just because there was a larger number than any other color. But there was so many, just so multicultural in every way, shape, and form. And there was nobody used the hard R, nobody used slurs. So as a teenager, like in my mind, racism didn't exist anymore because I didn't see it.
Yeah.
And then I went to college right out of high school. I went to the University of Idaho. And then all of a sudden, it's like 99% white. And people use slurs of all the other races, and I'm like, what the heck is happening?
Yep.
And so just to see, and that was 2001. And to see the difference from then to now, I think the younger white generation takes it for granted that these things aren't issues because I don't see these things.
Yep.
And then being in my marriage where I was emotionally abusive, and I got like gaslighted into my whole ideology, like everything changed. And to where I voted for Trump in 2016.
Oh, wow.
The time that he won. Yeah. But the first time I ever voted, I voted for Kerry. Then I voted for Obama. I voted for Obama again. And then my own opinions got manipulated. So I was one of those people that was like, well, all lives matter. I mean, all lives matter. And I look at it now and I'm like, that is such a place of privilege to try and say something like that. And I was one of the people who's like, well, I'm not privileged. I didn't grow up with money, because, you know, you see the one definition of the word privilege. Well, that's out of context.
Yeah. No.
So yeah, age really does change, not just age, but experiences changes how we see things, and it opens us up to different perspectives. And then on top of that, this social media, it opens a gate for people like me. I'm very non-confrontational in person. I freeze up. I don't do well in debates in person. But then social media, I can open up. But it also opens up the gate for people to be meaner and harsher and more cruel, because they don't have that guilt factor of when you have to see a person who's feeling
keyboard warriors. Yeah.
So it's like a double-edged sword there.
Yeah. No, listen, I completely agree. I think there's a lot to be said to that, but the one thing that I will say is I commend you, because growth is a part of life, right? And for you to actually, you know, be in one place in your life where you are sitting here saying, you know, Trump 2016, I guess, I don't even know if they were just saying that, whatever. And also, you know, going from all lives matter, like making that shift, that's a huge shift. That's something that a lot of people don't make in their lives, right? I always say this, most people don't change unless something dramatic happens, right? And for anyone that's able to actually make any type of change, it's a big deal. And so I commend you on being able to make that change and being able to step out of yourself and step out of your privilege and understand, you know, who you are and what it's about. And that's why I brought up the point. I mean, in certain aspects, we all have some sorts of privilege, and we have to back away from that and then be, you know, mindful of others and understand, like, you could always be in a different position. And so you want to be mindful and caring of others. So I commend you.
Thank you.
Yeah. Anywho, it's t-shirt time. I'm gonna drop you down.
Okay.
Thank you so much for hanging out with me tonight. And you know, you're always
love you,
welcome.
Santana.
I love you way more. Have a good night. Guys, hey, did anybody miss me today? Like, did anybody didn't anyone not or notice that I didn't? You guys didn't even notice that I didn't go live yesterday, right? You didn't even notice. No one missed me. You guys didn't miss me. I know. It's t-shirt time. It's t-shirt time. I know. No, you didn't, Lilith. You didn't pay attention. Anyway, all right, guys. I gotta get out of here. Listen, thank you guys for tonight. You all are amazing. Thank you, YouTube. Thank you, Twitch. Thank you, TikTok. I love you guys. Thank you all for being amazing. Sparring tomorrow. Oh, hey, just an FYI. We are raising money for the Unfuck America tour. If you are interested in helping support in any way, shape, or form, The link is in my bio. It's the first link in my bio. You can donate there. We have a goal. We're trying to raise money. If we can raise enough money, we will push this thing past what we're doing in Texas and go to Wyoming. And if we can do even more, like there's a whole built out, fleshed out, thought out process, a plan. And so if we can actually raise enough money, this might become way bigger than it was before. So yeah, if you can spare $1, $1, $2, $10, whatever, it's the first link in my bio. Consider donating. We're going to go to Texas. We're going to change some minds, hopefully change some hearts, shape some people, push them to be better and critically think, and hopefully push a message across this country that will make a real change. So it's Act Blue. There's multiple creators that are going. Multiple people have multiple links. Like I said, most of the times it's in their bios. I know it's in the first link in my bio. Anyway, I love you guys. Thank you all for the likes, the taps, the shares, the gifts, the donations. You all are amazing. Thank you so much. I love you. And as always, peace.